And if members of council could please turn their cameras on.
There's a name right there.
You should ask them now. It is 6:30.
Yeah, calling user 3, I would ask who that is.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to ask, is council all there? Okay, I've got 3 so far, and I need 2 more.
Yeah, I'm here.
That's the same 3. Councillor Woodward and Councillor Luxembourg. Are you back with us? Sarah, you might want to contact them, please, in case they're having. And just in case they thought it was 7, not 6:30.
Mayor, it's possible too that, we do have, there's quite a few people joining under the words and stuff. If someone isn't on, I'd say call and see if they, call them out and see if they are.
Yeah.
It's possible that someone may not, or maybe they may, but I haven't seen Jesse on right now, but we might be on the phone.
Just if you want.
No, I don't, can you?
I wasn't talking about Wilbur, I was talking about Primera.
Okay.
Oh.
We're just having a little bit of trouble getting, for those people from the public that are not used to our meetings on Zoom, we're having a little bit of trouble getting everybody connected here. We have Councillor Woodward on now.
Would you?
That's good, yeah.
Just
I apologize. I lost track of time. I thought it was 7 we were starting.
Yeah,
I apologize.
just said that to Sarah. I think maybe.
Sorry.
No problem. We're good. We're all good. Yeah. We'll get there. Councillor Woodward's, we're waiting for him to resurface.
We have quorum. If it's going to take those guys a few minutes to get here, we could start the meeting.
It's just,
Yeah.
we're just missing 1, right?
Yeah, we'll start the meeting. We just wanted to give a little bit of grace for.
I've let him know.
We've let Councillor Laufenberg know. So, okay, with that, I'd like to call the meeting to order, and thanks everybody for engaging with us tonight. And with that, I'd like to start with the Aboriginal Acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge the land on which we are gathered as the traditional territory of the Kootenay, the Silix and Sinix peoples, and is home to Métis and many diverse Aboriginal persons. We honour the connection to the land and rivers and respect the importance of the environment to our strength as a community. And I'd like to know if there are any late items. I'm not aware of any at the moment, so hearing none. And I'd like to change the agenda up just a little bit to make it a little bit more manageable. We're going to do the presentations before the public participation, and then we'll do the delegations right after that. So the presentations are coming up first. And these are awards given out by the City of Nelson, and the first one up is the Sports Ambassador. Jesse Pinrow is being awarded the Sports Ambassador for the City of Nelson. Council created the Sports Ambassador program in 2019 and appointed the first Sports Ambassador to serve during 2020. The Sports Ambassador designation goes to an individual, athlete, group, or team, or other individuals who has achieved a high standard of excellence and significantly advanced in their sport in our community and beyond. Council receives many outstanding applications for Sports Ambassador in 2021. The application showed what we already knew, that Nelson has a very rich sports recreation culture, which has produced many premier athletes born and raised here, which attracts others from all over the world. Council is pleased to announce that we've selected Jesse Penroe as our 2021 Sports Ambassador. Jesse is an accomplished boxer and is coach of the Nelson Boxing Club. Under Jesse's leadership, the club has become highly successful, winning championships throughout the province. Notably, Jesse was named Boxing Coach of the Year in 2020. In the boxing championships in Richmond. Nelson boxers, coached by Jesse, have won 5 medals, and a list of accomplishments like these for Jesse and his club goes on and on. And with that, I'd like to present this award virtually. I suppose that's what is that what you call it, Keith? A virtual award to Jesse and the, let me see, can you see that?
Yeah.
And the Nelson Boxing Club. We're really proud of you, and we want to thank you very much for all your commitment to our community and the youth, especially the youth of our community.
I'm not sure
You
is.
want to say a few words? I think you're on there somewhere.
Sorry, I can hear you guys. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
We can hear you, Jesse.
Okay. Well, thanks. Thank you. Is it my turn to talk or not really?
Yeah,
I can't see what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, I just wanted to say thanks a lot for you guys and for the people that nominated me. It's a huge honor for me, and makes me just really happy to be in this town and doing what I do here, where it's appreciated. And I think that what we've accomplished at the club in such a small place on such a national level, and it's pretty amazing. I'm really proud of what we've done, and I really look forward to the future and doing more of it and getting and bettering myself as well as a coach. So the award is going to help me do that, and I'm really appreciative for you guys for recognizing me, and I'll do my best to be worthy of it going forward as well.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much for all your good work. We really appreciate it. We've had you in the council chambers in the past, and I'm not surprised that you're back here again. So take care. And up next is
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thank you. And up next are our cultural ambassador, and I think Joy and Sydney Black, Joy Barrett and Sydney Black are going to lead this presentation. If you're there, hopefully you are. There we go. There's Sydney.
Hello, everybody. I will begin with the Cultural Ambassador Award. So my name is Sydney Black, and I'm the chair of the Cultural Development Committee for the City of Nelson. The City of Nelson and its Cultural Development Committee established the Cultural Ambassador Award in recognition of local individual artists, groups, or collectives who have achieved a high standard of excellence in their artistic discipline and who are active not only in Nelson's arts and cultural community, but extend their talents to other communities and countries. Last year's recipient was performer Marilyn Hatfield, with previous ambassadors singer Alison Gervin, dancer Slava Doval, writer Eileen Delhanty Perks, visual artist Ian Johnson, musician Bessie Wap, filmmaker Amy Bohegan, dancer Hiramoto Ida, author Anne DeGrace, fiber artist Angelica Worth, and the Corazon Youth Choir. This year's award was adjudicated by an external jury of previous cultural ambassadors and comes with a $1,000 honorarium. The City of Nelson and the Cultural Development Committee are pleased to present the 2021 Cultural Ambassador Award to author Roz Ney. Roz, who began her writing career through Selkirk College's creative writing program, has, in just a few short years, established herself as one of Canada's leading psychological thriller writers. Her 2 national bestsellers, Our Little Secret and Hurry Home, have been translated into 7 languages through book deals worldwide and received international acclaim. Her work has been featured in Entertainment Weekly magazine, reviewed by major newspapers such as the Washington Post, and Roz is frequently featured on CBC Best of lists, as well as on radio broadcasts such as The Next Chapter with the iconic Sheila Rogers. A frequent feature at literary festivals worldwide, Roz has a well-established media platform with many followers on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Closer to home, Roz is contributing to the local literary community, fostering local talent by working directly with students in their school writing programs, volunteering for their library's NaNoWriMo program, and featured writing videos, and funded through a CBT major project grant, will be providing a tutorial this summer on how to present works to agents and publishers. Simon & Schuster Canada will be releasing Roz's highly anticipated third novel, The Hunted, a psychological thriller, this year, and her impressive career trajectory is set to rise even further. Described as The Beach meets The Woman in Cabin 10, this twisty new thriller is about two couples who meet backpacking through Africa, and though what begins as friendship quickly turns to obsession with deadly consequences. Roz's impressive talent and accomplishments, along with her far-reaching audience, have placed her and Nelson on an international stage, and we're proud to have her join the roster of incredible cultural ambassadors that we've had over the years. So I'm just going to pass it over to Mayor Dooley.
With that, I couldn't say a word more. That was fantastic, and I just want to say to Roz, thank you so much for your commitment to our community, and we're excited about the work you're doing, and we wish you all the success in the world going forward. And your certificate is here at City Hall, and we'll get it to you. Thanks very much, Sydney, for that wonderful introduction. And do you want to say a few words?
I would love to say a few words. That was a fantastic introduction. That was awesome. So, I just wanted to say thank you, really, and just to say that I came to Nelson and I hadn't written anything, and I joined the Selkirk College course with Jessie, who was there sitting right next to me. And it's just been such a great little town to begin in and to be supported by. And I just feel really proud to mention Nelson whenever I'm asked where I'm from, and the fact that I've been lucky enough to have a career that's kind of blooming. It's fun to be able to represent Nelson kind of far and wide. So I plan to do that and, you know, give it all the props that it deserves. This town's great for artists. So yeah, thank you so much for considering me and giving me the award.
I just want to say, Roz, that when you and I took that writing course together, it was clear as day that you were going to do something, and the rest of us were okay. We were struggling along, but you had something then. So way to go.
Oh, thanks, Jessie. Yeah, thank you, everyone.
You're welcome. Thank you very much. All right. The next is the Heritage Award for Touchstones Museum. And Joy, I think Joy Barrett, you're on for this introduction.
Yes. Hang on one second. I thought my video was on, but it's not. Can everybody hear me okay?
We can hear you, but we'd like to see you as well. We haven't seen you before.
Yeah. Okay, goodness. Okay, just hang on one second. Sorry, I had got it all set up. Just
This is the modern meeting, Joy. Yeah. This is how it goes.
Yeah. It's not always friendly.
okay, I'm just getting in my technical assistant here to help me with my video.
4-year-old child, probably.
Yeah, tech support has arrived.
It'll probably ask you to turn on video somewhere, I think. Is that right, Keith?
Yeah, it does. I have video going. It's just not showing.
Yeah, it's definitely sending a blank screen.
Something you could do, Joy, is you could quit and come back. Oh, there you go.
There we go. Hi, everybody. Thank you, tech support / husband. Okay. So I'm here to introduce the Heritage Award. The City of Nelson's Heritage Award was established to recognize and publicly appreciate individuals, groups, businesses, or other organizations who have demonstrated leadership in heritage restoration, renewal, or promotion, and to acknowledge the contribution heritage makes to Nelson's vitality, well-being, and identity. Previous recipients are builder and conservationist Jorn Wingader, author Peter Bartle, historian Greg Scott, retailer Cartolina, and the Nelson and District Chamber of Commerce. The award comes with an $1,000 honorarium. the City of Nelson and its Heritage Working Group are proud to present the 2020 Heritage Award to Touchstones Nelson Museum of Art and History for their Cold War bunker project. In the 1950s and 60s, nearly 50 bunkers were constructed across Canada to shelter up to 8,000 officials in the event of a nuclear war. Nelson's bunker is one of 6 in BC. Known as a zonal emergency government headquarters, it was developed as a shelter and workplace for approximately 70 people, including representatives from local, provincial, and federal governments and other agencies. Designed for people to remain inside for 14 days, it was supplied with food, medical supplies, and other necessities. Secretly constructed under the post office in 1964, Nelson's bunker languished out of view to the majority of Nelson's community members until several years ago, when it became imperative for Touchstones to find a new site for storage of its valuable collection housed at its old Anderson Street location. The bunker proved the ideal option, not only for storage, but also for educating the general population about the Cold War era. The approximately $320,000 project, funded from government grants from every level, was finally complete and open to the public in 2000. Met with much excitement and praise, the bunker provides a glimpse of a place few people would have seen at the peak of tensions between Western countries and the then Soviet Union. Touchstone staff, board, and volunteers put a tremendous amount of work into this unique site. The bunker and the objects it houses have left a lasting legacy for generations to come. And over to you, Mayor Dooley.
Thank you very much. And I think, Astrid, you're on the line as well to accept this award on behalf of the Touchstones. And I'll just hold it up. Hopefully everybody can see it. And we want to thank you very much, Joy, for that wonderful introduction. And Astrid, if you're on there, do you want to say a few words?
I would love to. Can everyone hear me?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, wonderful. I'm giddier than I thought I was going to be, actually. Thank you for this award. We're so honored that this heritage work in the bunker has been recognized by the Heritage Working Group in the City of Nelson. And I really just have to pass over all of the praise to the staff team, the board, and the countless volunteers of Touchstones that really worked tirelessly for years, since 2013, in fact, to bring the bunker back to life as a heritage site, an exhibition, an educational space, and a tourist destination. So post-COVID, we know that the bunker is really going to hopefully bring in more and more tourists as a really unique site. Thank you so much to everyone for recognizing this work. And I just have to quickly thank our sponsors, Columbia Basin Trust, Heritage BC, the Department of Canadian Heritage, the BC government, of course, through BC Gaming, as well as BC Museums Association, the City of Nelson, and TELUS. Thank you all for your support.
Thank you very much for all your work. Really appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Okay, onward and upward. The next number 4 is the Sustainability Leadership Awards. And the Sustainability Leadership Award program celebrates individuals, nonprofit organizations, or businesses that show leadership and innovation in sustainable initiatives. Those receiving these awards are moving Nelson towards its vision for being a prosperous, resilient community with a robust ecosystem, safe, welcoming neighborhoods, diversity, history, and culture that we celebrate. We have 3 organizations that are receiving this award, and the first one is the Youth Climate Corps. The Climate Corps is a program run by Wild Sites, a charity working to protect biodiversity and encourage sustainable communities in our region. In 2020, Wildside launched the Youth Climate Corps in response to the COVID-19 pandemic and escalating climate crisis. For 4 months, 14 young local youths aged 19 to 29 were paid and supported to complete a variety of climate action projects with local partners while developing themselves personally and professionally. The Climate Corps has proven a promising model for empowering youth and communities to take action on our globe's future. And that's the first presentation.
Yeah, and we have 2 members from each
members here from the Climate Corps. Richard Klein and Lee. And Graham, yeah. Are you there? Who would like to speak? Richard,
I'm
would you
here.
like to say a few words?
Can you hear me? I'm on the screen. I'm not sure if I'm coming through.
We can hear you and we can see you. And there's your reward.
Great. And Graham here. Graham's he's been our coordinator. He works for Wildsight, and he's been a force in nature program too.
Hi, Richard. I'm here. Take it away.
Okay. I just want to thank Mayor Dooley and the council for the recognition. It feels like we're part way to creating something quite special, and in some way, Nelson has been the proving ground of this this idea that some of us have carried, and that COVID presented the ideal opportunity in some strange way. There was a crisis with young people not being able to find work, and at the same time, COVID kind of underscored the need for some of these deeper themes around community resilience, around food sustainability, just around looking at how do we create safer, more resilient communities going forward in the face of a disrupting climate. And Nelson was a perfect kind of city to put this idea into practice. I mean, I'm not sure exactly how many of you know, but we did work through BC Parks on the city's pipeline, which is a piece of infrastructure that comes up from 5 Mile Creek. So for about 6 weeks, these 14 young people rotated and learned forestry skills and kind of developed the capacity to thin out some of the forests up there and learn a bunch around chainsaw safety and species selection. And as a result of that work, the city's pipeline is now safer going forward as that forest develops. It's been thinned out in a fire resilient way, and we partnered up with John Catho, who's I know done some work in this kind of forest risk mitigation for the city, and also Amanda from BC Parks, and the rest of the wild site support crew in Kimberley were also hugely involved. So we hope to keep going with this. So we're still we've got a grant that's been put in for some possible funding for next year, and if that happens, we'd like to take the next step in terms of looking at different locations around the Kootenays and continuing to develop this model of how do we bring youth leadership to the challenges that we face in a bigger spectrum in terms of climate, and how do we meet those challenges. So I'm kind of excited, and I just want to thank the city for the recognition.
You're welcome. Graham, did you want to say a few words?
I think I maybe would just add by sort of holding up my hands and recognizing the crew members, the 14 people that were our inaugural crew, and did the work and learned so much. And that's April, Arlo, Chris, Ella, Emily, Jake, Kim, Lynn, Melissa, Owen, Sophia, Alex, Summer, and Wahia. Many of them grew up in Nelson, and others have come here more recently, and I think they're great representatives of the community, and they've enthusiastically taken to the chance to give something back. So I would just want to offer my thanks to them for all of the hard work.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
Thank you very much to both of you. Council, anybody want to have a word? You're okay? Jesse? Yeah, I noticed you were itching a little bit there.
Well, I just wanted to reflect on how quickly this all came together. You know, Richard, you worked so hard to move this process along and make it from an idea into a reality with your team. And I just really want to connect with that. When you're focused and you have a great idea and you can make it go, it's and you've produced an incredible program that helps a lot of young people and our city. So I just really want to thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. And thanks for the willingness. I know we met with council around the 7th Street Garden, and some of these pieces are potentially still works in progress, but I know there's a lot more work to be done, and we look forward to the opportunity to engage with council and the community going forward. It would be
Thanks, Richard.
a nice
Thank you
looking
very
feature.
much. You're welcome to stick around, but you're more than welcome to go back to your families or whatever you were doing before the meeting as well. So thanks very much to both of you. And we'll make sure
Thank
we
you.
get your plaque out to you. Okay, and next up is the Nelson Community Food Center. And on the call is Jessica Chan and Katie Hunter. So the Nelson Community Food Center continues to bring people facing adversity together around food for all. In the past, the Nelson Community Food Center adjusted its service model, partnering with Nelson Cares to distribute food and house clients in local motels. Partnering with 5 local restaurants to provide good food, bank clients with vouchers for meals has grown to 800 pounds of food for distribution through the Good Food Bank, and began a virtual kids club that has served 150 participants per session, all while continuing to provide service and food to a growing number of clients through this program. And did either one of you wish to, Jessica, either one of you wish to speak?
I would love to. Thank you for this award. It's beautiful. It's frame. It's gorgeous. And I really, thank you to council and to really the whole community of Nelson for their support of our organization. I want to thank our staff and our board and our very large cohort of volunteers for supporting us through this difficult year. But the difficulty has also, as the mayor just read out, presented us with a lot of opportunities for innovation. And I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that. We are really proud of the work that we've done, and this recognition means so much, especially as demand for our services keeps growing. It's been sort of tireless work, but really the high level of dedication of all community members, our participants, our donors, our funders, all of our partners in this really encourage us to continue our good work and really help us see different ways in which we can support the folks that we serve and ensure that people can continue to come together around good food for all, no matter what their circumstance. So thank you so much for this award. It really has puffed us up a bit at a time when we really needed it. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. Katie, did you want to throw your 2 cents worth in here as well?
Yeah, I just want to be here to really obviously thank mayor and council for this award, like Jess has said, but really give Jess some credit for her leadership, that she has led her really very strong team through a very tough year, but like she said, has been able to be so innovative and still create those opportunities for people to connect around good food, which really is the root of all the work we do. So I can't wait to see how we move forward with at the food center, hopefully in times when we can start connecting physically and in person around good food.
Yeah, that is a big part of the center too, isn't it? That interaction with people and an opportunity to sit down and break food together as the saying goes. So hopefully.
Yeah, and even just opportunities for volunteers too. I think the staff has done such a great job creating a safe environment for volunteers to still come in and be able to have connection that way. So it's just been really amazing.
Yeah, and you've done a great job on your outdoor garden there as well. It was fabulous this year, wasn't it?
800 pounds of food. And that's a partnership with the city. Yeah. Good boulevard.
It's so efficient.
All right. Well, thank you both very much for all your good work. And this award is for your whole team, obviously. And just pass on our congratulations to everybody for the good work you do for our community.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Last but not least is the Nelson Tennis Club. And on the call to receive this award is Keith Bridger. And last 2 years, the Nelson Tennis Club has partnered with the school district number 8 to revitalize the courts at LVR School. Through extensive volunteerism, raising grant funding, and generous local suppliers and contractors' donations, the club has built 4 new tennis courts, 3 pickleball courts, and a multi-use area for basketball, street hockey, and skateboarding. They are halfway through the building of a facility center, championing the revitalization work and leading the volunteer effort for the Nelson Tennis Club. President Keith Bridger and Director Rob Wright have been stellar in their commitment to getting this project done. And every time I read about this, I think, how did you guys do this, all this work, and mostly we didn't even know it was happening until it's over. So Keith or Rob, you're more than welcome to step up and say a few words. We have your award right here, and we'll be getting it to you as soon as possible. Keith or Rob, are you there? I can see your name on the screen, but I'm not hearing anything.
I don't know if you can see me. It looks awfully dark.
I think you might have to turn on
Can you hear?
I think you might have to turn on video. We can hear you. Is Rob there?
You know, unfortunately, I'm sad to say that Rob can't be with us to accept this award this evening. In fact, he was admitted to hospital today, very weak and frail. And we're hoping that he can be stabilized, you know, in the next few days, and so that he can continue on with his immunotherapy treatment. So, yeah, we're wishing him all the best and sending our prayers. I can say that when I told him about this award several days ago, he was really, really pleased, and he felt very honored to receive this recognition. It was Rob's idea to redevelop that site in the first place, and he's really been a driving force since we began back in 2018. And as you all know, he's been a driving force in the sports community for decades now. I was just looking back at the photos since we started this project in 2018, and remarkable to me how much has been accomplished up there, particularly for the princely sum of $480,000 over the 3 years to date. And in fact, that's directly attributable to the thousands of hours that volunteers have put in working at the site, and also to the, you know, the generosity of our local contractors and suppliers who have been really behind us all the way. And for Robbie and me, you know, it was a total labor of love. We thoroughly enjoyed, looked forward to every day. The teamwork and camaraderie was awesome. And I highly recommend volunteerism to anybody who's feeling so inclined. We look forward to every day at the site. And for us, it's been hugely gratifying to see the community response, you know, to these new facilities. And so on behalf of Rob and all the volunteers at the Nelson Tennis Club, it's my great honor to accept this award. And, I'm very thankful to you, Mayor Dooley, and city councillors, and those who nominated us. And I'm sure Bill McDonnell had a little more than something to do with that. I'm really looking forward to pushing this project to completion this summer. I feel like it's time to get it done. And so I think one big final push, and we'll be there, and we'll have a fantastic facility for years to come that'll serve not just the community, but the whole region. So thank you very much, Mayor Dooley and city councillors. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Keith. I just want to especially thank you for you know, a person that's just retired in the last few years, and then you just jumped right in head first into our community to do good things, and really appreciate your commitment to our community. not only through your working career, but since you've retired as well. And you being our family doctor, you probably know more about me than I know about myself, but you've always been a very caring person, and I just feel it's a strange night tonight when you tell me that Rob's not able
Yes.
to be here. So he's been a friend of mine for a very, very long time, and him and I ran soccer schools and hockey schools together, and he's done so much for the youth of this community. It's absolutely outstanding, and never once did he ask for recognition, and he always showed up with a very positive attitude to the rink or to the sports field, and I'm saddened that he's not here tonight too. And we'll get this plaque to you as soon as possible, Keith. If you want to come and pick it up tomorrow,
Yeah.
I'd love if you brought it up to him, and make sure that he's well aware
Yeah.
that we care deeply about him, and we really admire his contribution and his family's contribution to our community.
Absolutely right, John. And, you know, he's still very positive to this day. He's never once uttered a complaint, and you know, Rob, he's rock solid.
Okay, well, thank you very much, everybody that was on the line so far. We really appreciate all of the good things you do for our community, and we do a lot of work here as a council and myself as mayor and with our staff, but honest to God, we really wouldn't get half the work done we get done in our community without the volunteers and people that step up and bring good ideas to us and do good things for the greater good of our community. So thanks to all of you that have been on the line tonight, and we look forward to continue to work with you in the future in any way that we can facilitate moving your projects forward. You can count on me to be there for you, and I know the council's on the same page. So thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
We have to do a little bit of backtracking here, Sarah tells me. So we have to adopt the agenda with that changes that were in it, and we never did do that. So moved by Councillor Renwick, second by Councillor Page. All in favour? Carried. Okay. Anything else you want there, Sarah?
Minutes.
And we want to adopt the minutes of the previous meeting of December the 14th. Councillor Woodward and Councillor Renwick. And we're going to, let me just get my computer back up here. We're going to now go to the public participation part of our meeting, and I believe we have a number of people. We have 3 people on, so I'm going to take this time then just to read out some of the parameters around the presentations from the public, and that is council welcomes comments from the public on issues dealing with or issues in interest to the public. Before speaking, please state your name and your area of residence, city or regional district. Comments from the public will be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes, and believe me, Sarah's got a stopwatch here and she's very good at it. So 3 minutes. This is not a forum for complaints, which will be dealt with by staff through established complaint procedures. So if you want to bring something forward in a positive light, we're more than happy to do that. And if you have too many complaints, we'll send you to our staff. Council will not make any decisions at this meeting about your matter raised, but may refer the matter back to staff for follow-up. Speakers must not address the topic that's related to the matter for which the public hearing. This is for a public hearing. We don't have a public hearing.
No, we're not.
Okay, so I'll skip this one. So please address all your comments to the mayor as the chair of the board tonight. So if you want to speak, just go through the chair, please. And I'm going to open it up now. And the first person on the line is Bill McDonnell. And Bill, hopefully you're able to link into us there. I see your name anyway. And you might want to unmute yourself, Bill.
Okay.
Turn on video. I can hear you now, yeah.
Okay. Thanks very much for the opportunity, and if I do not meet the standards of your introduction, Mayor, as far as the positivity, then please direct me at that time. Speaking of positive, since the last time I presented to the council on September the 29th, which was in a similar forum, I talked about the value of volunteerism in Nelson. And I congratulate each of the volunteers that have been recognized tonight by council. And I thank you to council for valuing their contribution to our community. And I am, if I'm a bit at nerve here, it is the news about Rob. So Rob, if there's any way that you hear, we're with you. Tonight, I just wanted to share as best as possible regarding the civic arena closure. I've had an opportunity in the last 8 or 9 days to meet quite a few of our residents who came by, and if they're listening, I really appreciate the support that they provided in very kind manner. And I'm not surprised, because in the 54 years I've been in this community, I've been offered so many opportunities in a very positive light. And again, reflective in the words that people have provided. I appreciate Councillor Page coming by today as well, and the mayor as well on the weekend. My goal is basically tonight, it's an ask, and it's set for a long-term assurance that the city and the regional district of Central Kootenay, that the civic ice will continue to provide opportunity to our community, who have been well served in 85 years, and especially the value it has to our kids. If we truly believe that all of us are in this together, let's foster community and not impede, especially with kids, what this community has to offer. I know it's a challenging time, and I hope that what we're able to do is provide our present generation of kids the opportunities that I was certainly during my youth in Ottawa, and then subsequently in Nelson. I cannot say anything to address Nelson any better than a beautiful articulated letter that was shared by, and I don't know who all received it, by a highly active volunteer. No, and I think that we're maybe a better community than this one decision reflects, and I certainly it's not ever will do that, but I just want to think that we can move on from that.
So Bill, I have to tell you, you're tight for time, and if you have an ask or you're speaking to a specific issue, could you please nail it as soon as you can? Okay. Well, the ask is to provide long-term assistance for this by the city to keep that ice surface available. I find this process has been quite challenging in the sense of being able to provide public input. I had planned to do it at the next RIC Commission meeting, but that preceded the actual closure date of 3 days from now, and that is a lost opportunity. I guess I'm just going to, Mayor, to keep, there's so much I would like to share, but at this particular time, I'm just going to have to resign myself to those few words and hope that if I have a choice, I'm going to invest in kids. And as in later life, they are becoming our parenting skills, that if we do a good job, we work our way out of a job and they become responsible, healthy, contributing members to our community that will save us money in social services and judicial systems, and hopefully in the health area. I know this is terribly inconvenient, or I don't even know how to describe how I'm presenting tonight. Thank you for your time. Thank you very much, Bill. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill.
Next speaker, Daniela.
Hi. Hi there. My name is Daniela Sierwa. I live in Appledale, and I'm a grade 12 student at Mount Sentinel. And as my senior project in my careers class, I've written a proposal to suggest that Nelson creates a youth advisory council. So I am aware that this idea has been brought forward before, and it's something that has been talked about. And there are legal issues that go along with this. And I know I'm not someone who can really speak to that, but I do know that it has been done by other municipalities within British Columbia. And some examples are Kamloops, Victoria, Richmond, and Powell River. And I did contact the chief administrative officer in Kamloops, and he got back to me with some feedback about their youth council. He sent me their terms of reference, which I have as a resource if anybody wanted to see that. And they've run their program successfully since 2018. And yeah, basically a youth council is meant to be mutually beneficial to council and to the youth in the community because it provides youth viewpoints on issues that affect them, and it creates learning opportunities for students and youth within the community. Yeah, so thank you. I did write a proposal and I sent it to Gabriel Buckler. If any of you are interested in looking at it, that would be great.
Yeah, definitely we'll have a look at that, Gabriel, and make sure that's distributed to council then. That's right. Yeah, thank you, Danielle, and that'll go out to council to have a look at. So thanks very much for taking that initiative. We really appreciate it, and good to hear from you.
Thanks,
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you. Kathy, are you on the line there somewhere? I see Lisa Upper.
Yeah, hi. Hello, Mayor Dooley, it's Kathy.
Okay.
Lisa and I are here together, so I'm showing up under her name.
You're a tag team, okay.
Yes, tag. And unfortunately, I can't get the video to work, so it'll just be my voice.
Okay, fair enough.
Right. All right, well, thank you, Mayor Dooley. I'm happy to have this opportunity to present a bit. My name is Kathy Klon. I'm administrator of Nelson Minor Hockey, and I'm here with Lisa Upper, who's president of Nelson Minor Hockey. We're here not for an ask, but just to sort of present a little bit of positivity about ice usage in our town, directly related, of course, to the civic closure. So the civic closing early had an effect on us and on figure skating, the skating club as well, who we've spoken to quite extensively. We collaborate a lot with them. And so we've lost some ice times, and those ice times were not able to be made up by the one ice surface for the month of February. So I just wanted to point that out, that we lost 11 ice times in the week, Monday to Thursday, that are not recoverable. So just sort of a recognition that one ice surface does not suffice for the ice users as they sit right now, which is basically just us, the skating club and Nelson Leafs and NDCC programming, let alone all the other clubs and groups that would be happy to come back once restrictions are lifted. So we are all about the kids and having them on the ice. Nelson Minor Hockey is growing. We've got 200 kids in our membership right now, the majority of which are 12 and under. So it's really about little kids. They want to be on the ice. They want to be skating, whether it's with us or whether it's with skating club or whether it's with speed skating. It's a really popular thing for kids to do. And it's just important, right? We all know sports and recreation, how important they are for mental health and for kids, especially during this time of pandemic. It's more important than ever. But it just really is something that is an opportunity for our families in our town to access something that there's a big demand for. We also, interestingly enough, I was going to also thank you for giving out awards to volunteers, because I'm such a big supporter of volunteers in our community. Nelson Minor Hockey has an amazing number of volunteers that put in hours and hours of time, and we wouldn't exist without them, quite frankly. We thank them over the holidays. We have 73 volunteers, all doing different things, which is an amazing community contribution. Hockey being affordable is something that we really focus on. We subsidize our registration costs by keeping them low in order to make it as affordable as we can for all families. And the last thing I want to say is hockey and skating in general, but hockey specifically has such a wide impact economically on the community at whole. Whenever we host games or tournaments, we have a lot of people coming from out of town. They're happy to be here. They use our restaurants, they use our hotels, they go shopping, they support our locals. And not only that, because Nelson is such an amazing town, they often come back or spread the word and have others coming here to visit. And so overall, I think we have a really positive effect on the community, and we just wanted to make that heard. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy. Lisa, did you want to be part of this conversation? You're entitled.
No, that's it. Yeah, Kathy and I work together, and I support, and she said basically what we feel from Nelson Minor Hockey, and I appreciate this opportunity for us to talk today.
Thank you. Okay, so that's all of the.
That's everything. We're ready for the delegation.
Okay, so just to get a bit of clarity on that, so we had 3 people speak to the. Councillor Cates, do you want to fill in any gaps there? Because nobody really asked for anything there. They just said that they wanted us to keep in mind. So I believe the old Civic Centre is closing earlier than normal, right?
Yeah. So yeah, the commission on it at its last meeting, at its budget meeting on the 14th, decided based on the recommendation of staff and the bookings that were happening that they would consolidate down to 1 ice rink in both Castlegar and Nelson. And then of course, Creston only has 1 ice rink to deal with the fact that, you know, there'll be some cost recovery, but this is also a time of the year when typically the ice is doing cost recovery for the other parts of the year when we don't necessarily have user groups using the facility. So the comments are well taken. I think there is, I would dispel some of the conversation about the long-term viability of the Civic. I know that is an undercurrent of a lot of the concern, and there were some really, really good letters from the user groups on that topic alone. But the conversation at that table was not about the Civic Center itself in terms of its viability or any other kind of discussion about whether or not we just need to have 1 ice rink. This is really just trying to consolidate on is for this 1 season temporarily, hold on to the resources we have so that we can open up under a much more normalized environment in the fall and make sure that we have the capacity to do that. So it was a hard choice, and I would say commissioners spoke to the concerns about the kids and the user groups that would be impacted, and I know they wrestled with that. So there'll be many of these groups too, by this point, have been extended an invitation to come as delegations in future commission meetings, and commission is dedicated to working closely with these groups as much as possible. I think I would take some responsibility for, as the chair, for bringing the item as a late item. I know staff was working under tight timelines after the public health order on the 8th and doing the budget financing for the meeting that was coming up. And in retrospect, I would have liked to have made sure people had more time to look at something like this and have their voices heard. And that's an ongoing commitment at commission, is to make sure these things are not rushed or don't have the sense of. In this case, that's the responsibility I would take as the chair there, to that we didn't meet those expectations for that public accountability on those minutes being out, those agenda items and reports being out, so the public could disseminate them and speak to commission during that time. But the decision will stand for the moment tonight.
I just wanted to, I think part of it was financial as well, right?
It's all, it's financial. Yeah, it's 100%. That service is under a tremendous amount of pressure. People are not going to the fitness center in the same numbers, and we can't fit people in the fitness center. We can't fit people in the pool. We can't fit people on the ice. We can't fit people on the other ice. Like every aspect that touches that budget, that service under the RDCK has been impacted heavily. So, and yeah.
I'm going to ask if there's a way that in the next few days we could take a second look at this. And the reason I ask that is because I just happened to dig out the restart granting that came from the province. And I wonder if with our regional district partners, as well as the city of Nelson, if we could allocate some of those funds to retain that ice for the next month, because away from completing their season anyway, and with no games or no playoffs, if we could get them through the month. We've done a lot of good things in the community because of COVID, and this may be an opportunity to help those children have an opportunity to continue to get the ice time that they were accustomed to for the last several months. Would that be a possibility for the rec commission and maybe our staff and the staff of the regional district to meet together and look at a way to maybe allocate some of that restart funding from the province to keep that facility open for that month?
That would have to be a decision we would make tonight as council to commit those kinds of funds, because with a close date of Friday, and we would need 2 days of notice to call a commission meeting and discuss that proposal. I think that's a pretty tall order.
Councillor Lockenberg?
And just to be clear, Councillor Page, can you speak to the fact that we did talk about the restart funding from the RDCK, and that it's, at least for the public's benefit, it doesn't, that money is not the same as the municipality gets, and it's distributed over a much broader area.
It's about a third, but I think what Mayor Dooley is speaking to is coming up with some sort of proposal at City Council to put funds towards that 1 month for those user groups. And honestly, that I think we're going to be asked quite strongly for more than that come fall. I think we should keep that into context, that you might buy a month now, but you're going to be asked for a lot more come fall to get back to normal operations.
Yeah, Councillor Morrison, you have your hand up.
So just in regards to the overall regional district restart funds, some has been already allocated in terms of allocations to other services within the regional district. That decision would have to be made by the board. And of course, at this point, there is no board meeting now for basically another month. We just met last week. So as Councillor Lockenberg was saying, is that there was some discussion at our table when we met the last time the commission met, but there could be no commitment from the regional district side at that meeting, or probably won't even be in a position the next time recreation meets here in another week to go over the budget to make any confirmed contributions to recreation. It is top of mind at the regional district table that the 3 major recreation areas have been put under a lot of strain, and I would imagine that there will be some money allocated, but I don't think that in terms of the regional district stepping up, that they would be stepping up fast enough for this closure at this time. It does not preclude the City of Nelson from fully taking on those costs associated, but I wouldn't see our regional partners being able to have that turnaround, because it's a total board decision as to the distribution of the COVID restart funds.
I'm supposedly having a bit of trouble with my microphone here. So I just wanted to, there is the individual directors that are partners with us in that facility in the Nelson and District Community Center, Director Faust and Director Newell, have discretionary funds available to them that could probably bridge that gap until such times as was a board meeting. I'm just looking at, is there a possibility, I know there's always 1,000 ways why you can't do things, but maybe there's an opportunity in this particular case to, you know, we're talking about, you know, children that are anywhere from 6 to 14 years old here that are being, you know, asked to make a shift. And I understand the logic behind some of the ideas, but it seems to me that we put out a 25-point action plan to help salvage our community and rebuild our community, help it to restart as a council. And I happen to believe that part of that needs to be for the youth of our community. And in this particular case, I think there's funds available, and maybe the commission could, in the next couple of days, maybe dive into that and see if there's any way at all you could salvage this season for Nelson minor hockey and figure skating and the other ice users that are in that facility.
Mayor? As Councillor Page, there's no pushing this off to the Rec Commission. This has to be done at this table. And I think, Mayor, you would have to take the lead on this because this is about the city putting up money to do it. It's the Rec Commission will have to approve it, but it wouldn't be able to do anything unless this table put up the money.
Well, I'd be in favor of allocating our portion. I'd be in favor of allocating our portion of the restart funds on a similar basis to our partnership with our 2 regional district directors and trying to figure out a way to retain that ice so these children can finish out the next month. We're talking about 30 days here from the end of the month for them to finish up their season, which has been shortened.
Again, Mayor, what I would recommend is that you take the lead on that, reaching out to Councillor Faust, Director Faust and Director Newell to make that happen. I don't think this can happen at or through the table. I mean, maybe the chair can help with that, but Mayor, I think this is we'd have to look to you to take the lead here.
Yeah, I'd be quite happy to do that if council felt that was appropriate.
I would second that.
I just need a show of hands. I don't need a mover and a seconder, and I'll be quite happy to tackle that first thing in the morning. So we have 2 people that are favoring going forward. Janice, that's 3. Yeah. Councillor Page, are you okay with that? Because you'll have to be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I'm just weighing my role as the chair, carrying the voice of what the decision was already, and the 4 weeks that it will buy us, and what that 50,000 represents later in the season for next year. Like, I think we wrestled with this. I'm not in support of it. I stand by the decision. We aren't trying to deal with the long-term viability of the Civic Center, which I think is the biggest concern for people. We had to make a tough choice during COVID. I think it was the right choice. I think Commission made that choice and stand by that choice. I will not certainly stand in the way. If that can be found, I will call a meeting. That'll be my commitment, and the Commission can have that discussion again. Well, I won't weigh on it.
Mayor, I'm just also concerned here that this is a committee in the whole council. We're not supposed to be making decisions. So correct. I feel like we're pushing the envelope here because we don't make decisions at committee of the whole. That's not the purpose of this, and now we are, and it's a big decision. So I feel a little uncertain and unsure what's going on.
Yeah, and I agree. That's correct. I think the challenge we're facing now is, I think you said 3 days or 5 days is the deadline. I'm just talking about doing the research here in the short term, and maybe there's a possibility to salvage this within the next couple of days. Or
Mayor, if I could, it's Colin here, just noting to council we do have a budget meeting on Friday.
If you find the funds, I will call a meeting for Rec Commission to have the discussion. Like, I can commit to that. I think that's appropriate.
I'm sorry to interrupt. It's Kathy from Nelson again. And this is a bit of a strange ask, but I just have been made aware of Jen McNutt being on the line, and she was supposed to, she's from the skating club, and she was going to say a few words with us, and I didn't realize she was here. I wonder if we could allow her just 1 minute of some public time just so that she could speak to the skating clubs.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead.
Okay.
Hi there. Sorry, I was not expecting to be talking at this time, but we just wanted to quickly point out on the skating club. I think going forward, our biggest concern is that the Civic remains running as an ice surface in this town. In a regular season, the Nelson Skating Club is actually running kind of at a bare minimum for what our skaters need. Certainly we've lost a little bit of that ice time with this change. But regular season, 78% of our ice time is in the Civic. And that's also where our jump harness is, which was a $10,000 investment. We can only access that harness in the Civic because it can't be moved to the NCC. And then just bring attention to the fact that our CANSCAPE programs are quite busy. They're growing. Up until the COVID regulations, we had a growing adult skate program as well. And just to remind council that CANSCAPE does, it's a foundational program for hockey, speed skating, and whatnot. So we're just really hoping that, just to express the importance of the civic arena to our programs and how fundamental that ability is for us to keep up and running. And that's all.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We'll leave it at that, and I'll talk to Councillor Page tomorrow, and we'll see if there's a, you know, what's the best plan of attack at this point in time. So thank you very much, everybody, for getting on the line tonight. We really appreciate it. Okay. We're going to move into the next part of the meeting. Up next are presentations. And the first one on the agenda is the Cultural Development Committee.
Hi, everybody. I'm just going to pull up the PowerPoint.
And Sydney, are you on your own here on this presentation?
It's Joy and I together.
Joy's with you. Great. Okay.
Yeah, I'm here.
I don't see her on this. Don't see on the screen there, Joy, but that doesn't mean you're not there.
Yeah. Do other people see me?
There you are now. Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Yeah.
Okay. Good. I'm just trying to figure out how to share a file, like how to share my PowerPoint. I haven't used this WebEx, so.
You should see a button at the bottom, I believe, that would allow you to share your screen, Joy.
Okay. Open system preferences. All right. Yeah, it's just turning out, it's grayed out, Gabe. The share. Hang on.
Hold on, I think it's, try it now.
Yeah, that's still not coming up for me. It's still coming up as grayed out.
Gabe, Sarah, do we have Joy's presentation that we could put it up?
Yes. One moment.
I might have it too. I'm looking.
Yeah, it shows the share, but it's just totally grayed. It won't let me do anything with it.
You might want to take a few moments. If you have a preamble, now is your time to
I don't have a preamble. I just like right into the.
You know.
Here, I think I've got it here.
Yeah.
Sydney, you're good at improvising. You should be able to figure out something.
Can you see? Can you see my screen?
Okay, there we go.
Okay.
Okay, perfect. So Sid, do you want to move one slide ahead?
Yes.
Okay. Welcome everybody. So 2020 was definitely an unusual year for us all, and particularly challenging for the arts and culture sector. Despite this, the city's Cultural Development Committee was able to continue with our valuable work and make real strides in furthering arts, culture, and heritage support and development in the city of Nelson. Our art rental program, which is an important financial support for our local artists, was able to continue with an install delayed from April to July, as was our ongoing sculpture partnership with Castlegar Sculpture Walk. The City Hall mural by our artist Tyler Taves, done in partnership with the Nelson and District Arts Council, has been incredibly popular, and the heart imagery continues to lift spirits. Next slide.
The city and the Cultural Development Commission's recognition programs have become an important way to reward our creative talent, and I'm sure you'll agree that the Cultural Ambassador and Heritage Award recipients this year are fantastic. Our monthly cultural presentations to Council, along with recognition of National Poetry Month every April were curbed this year due to COVID. However, we look forward to bringing them back in 2021. These programs, along with the grant support provided via the Community Initiatives Funds and administered through the CDC, further establish Nelson's reputation near and far as an arts and culture destination which fosters creativity.
Community partnerships and collaborations are incredibly important to the arts and culture sector, and we've strengthened these ties through shared projects which have been beneficial to all. Partnership with NDAC secured $40,000 for the Cottonwood stage through the Creative BC funding program, and partnership with the Chamber of Commerce secured $300,000 in CBT funding in 2019 for Railtown Plaza work, which includes artistic railings, benches, etc., all of which will be completed this year. We continue to work closely with the National Economisé organization, along with Nelson Kootenay Lake Tourism, to promote our local artisans, and with other arts, culture, and heritage organizations locally and regionally to support art and artists.
So in 2019, the CDO added grant writing to her portfolio and raised over $300,000 for the city. The success continued in 2020 with a $500,000 CBT grant for the Hall Street Pier project and an additional $20,000 for phase 2 of the Heritage Master Plan Initiative, which Joy will speak further about. We've also worked closely with the planning department on the CIRIP Community Economic Recovery Infrastructure Program application for additional funding for the Hall Street Pier project, including work on the Lady Bird and the library grant application. And in 2021, it's vitally important that the CDC and the city support our local artists, culture, and heritage institutions through the ongoing COVID crisis. Without this, the foundations, which decades of community work have built, could crumble. One of our priorities is to complete a new economic impact of the arts report. The last time this was done was in 2003, and our sectors have only grown since that time. The 2003 study estimated the size of arts and heritage economy to be about $7 million annually, with a measurable net economic impact at about $15 million. We're working with the NAEDP on this project, which will measure the sector's growth and achievements, increase awareness of the sector's economic impact in political and business spheres and the general populations, and provide a strong basis for leveraging grants and other funding. This year, we'll also be partnering with Touchstones to source additional funding required to construct purpose-built permanent housing for the Lady Bird speedboat, which will enhance the Hall Street Pier development and showcase a true heritage jewel. And we'll continue to work closely with planning and public works on art and infrastructure and public art initiatives throughout the city.
The CDC and the Heritage Working Group have been working closely with Public Works, City Planning, Touchstones Museum, and the Nelson Izushi Friendship Society on ongoing landscaping, art and infrastructure, beautification, and historical recognition work at Cottonwood Park. We've finally been able to move the historic Cottonwood Falls plant generator and pulley wheel from their location at the old Anderson Street Touchstones building to custom created bases at Cottonwood, and signage throughout the park will be installed this year. We're excited by the beautiful results and are currently sourcing grants and other funding to continue with this work. The first draft of the city's Heritage Master Plan, an impressive 90-page document by renowned Vancouver-based heritage consultant Denise Cook, has been received and is currently being reviewed by city planning staff, select members of the Heritage Working Group, and myself. We're meeting shortly to go over suggested additions and amendments, at which point the second draft will go to the full Heritage Working Group and CDC for further comments and review. We estimate a draft will come to council in March. Now, this document, which was funded by a $38,000 CBT Heritage BC grant, is incredibly important as it will set out strategies and actions to recognize and conserve Nelson's cultural and built heritage and ensure they align with the vision and work plan of Nelson's OCP. A significant part of the overall Heritage Master Plan project is the completion of almost 200 statements of significance for historical buildings originally identified in Nelson's Heritage Register back in 1994. We received an additional $20,000 from CBT Heritage BC for this phase of the project. And we currently have a team of 4 working on these with training from Berdine Jonker, who is on the board of directors of Heritage BC and is now based in Nelson. So these statements, along with the master plan, will also come to council for adoption. The completion of the master plan and statements is the #1 priority for the Heritage Working Group in 2021, and will also begin photo documentation of our heritage assets. We'll be looking for additional grant sources to digitize all the results, making them easily accessible by the community. Additionally, we'll continue our work with community-based groups, including the Mount St. Francis Advocacy Group, who will be documenting this building through photos, film, and a book. We actually did an interior tour of the building last week, which was amazing. And I'd also like to take a moment to thank the members of the Heritage Working Group who have volunteered many hours for the city, keeping our heritage alive and thriving. Astrid Haerdahl, Stephanie Fisher, Greg Nestoroff, Krista Patterson, Matthew Stanley, Stephanie Myers, and Patricia Malcolmson. Okay. So on to the budget. So last year, the Heritage Working Group asked for $20,000 that would enable us to apply for matching CBT Heritage BC funding, which was for the phase 2 of the Heritage Master Plan. Now we did actually get this. So the $14,000 that you see here, we actually only spent $6,000 of that $20,000 last year. So this isn't actually a new ask. This was something that was approved last year. It's just carrying over into our 2021 books. So I have talked to Chris Jury about that. So yeah, the 14,000 isn't actually a new ask. It's something that's already been approved. And the rest is what we ask for every year in terms of the Heritage Awards, signage, history talks, BC membership, and marketing and communication.
So now for the Cultural Development Committee budget request. In 2020, we ended up being almost $3,000 under our budget due to the Creative Cities Conference being canceled, as well as saving on our miscellaneous budget items due to not having meetings in person. So this year, we are seeking $60,900 to support the work of the Cultural Development Committee in 2021. And with that, I'd like to thank you all for your time and support and open the floor for any questions that you might have.
Thank you. So we'll try and pull down your report off the screen so I can see everybody. I don't know if that has to be
working on it.
Yeah, done at your end. So we got we got some people up on my small screen here, but so far we got Councillor Woodward with a question, and we'll deal with that while we're trying to get the bigger screen going here. Councillor Woodward, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. So Sydney and Joy, you know, as we work our way through this pandemic, something that I've talked about to at the Cultural Development Committee is this need to make sure that we have, when this is all over, that we have the people who were producing all of these events and the theater and the cultural events in our town, that they're still here and they can do the work again to create these wonderful events that pull our community together. How do you feel at this point, at the beginning of 2021? Do you feel like, I mean, you've showed great leadership, and you've showed that you're doing incredible work under a lot of duress. So I just was wondering how you feel about this.
That has an arts-based job, and also artists, we are seeing them already starting to leave their professions and leave the community. And so we as arts organizations have all been trying so hard to give everyone as many opportunities to create work and be paid for their work during the pandemic. I know every single organization has been really focused on that, but still it is not always enough. And so we're just going to try to keep providing whatever we can to make sure that we can hold on to as many of those brilliant lights as we can, because when you hear things like Clinton Swanson is retraining to do house inspections, that is something that is devastating for our creative community. So we really need to be there to support the artists and arts workers now, and that's what I believe all the organizations are really focusing on.
Do we have another question for Joy or Sydney? Sydney, I know you're now on the Economic Development Partnership, which is great. And I brought this up at the second last meeting you had about the economic impact of arts and culture in our community. And I'm glad to see that you're going to tackle that now to revise that document and bring it up to date. It really was a platform that we built from the first time it was done, because there was always that discussion, what the heck does arts bring to your community? Nobody really knew. And once we got that study done, it really grounded us, and it helped us as council and myself as mayor through my time here, to be able to sort of step up with some confidence. So we had some, real numbers and quantifying information behind us, so we could sort of move out into the community and build these programs that we have today. So it'll be really good to have that rejuvenated now. I was just hoping that it won't be, that it'll be a really good engagement, that it won't be just on the surface and an update, more of an in-depth look now that we have COVID, starting to turn up some real issues in our community as far as what the future looks like in the arts and culture sector. Did you have any thoughts about how that would be rolled out at this point in time? We hired in some people at the time to do the first one. Now I don't know if that can be done in-house now or not, in our community or not.
So actually, Andrea Wilkie is going to be speaking to that more with the NAEDP presentation that she's doing later, but we are having conversations with RDI around having that done with that group through Selkirk College. And so, yeah, she'll be chatting with you about that at hopefully not 10:30 at night.
Yeah, okay, exactly, yeah. Thanks very much. Thank you very much. Councillor Page?
Yeah, and I'm not sure what the answer might be, Sydney or Joy, but that piece about the support and what the artists might or might not be able to do during this time to keep them engaged and tied to that creative profession that they've had all those years. Is there any pieces that we're missing? Maybe there's an advocacy piece for our MP Morrison. Maybe there's supports that aren't quite in place, or programs we could be offering. Do you have any thoughts or considerations on how we could be helping artists during this time stay attached to their craft?
I think funding is the key, ensuring that these people are paid appropriate wages. So the more that you can provide arts organizations with funding to pay artists, the more that we'll be able to infuse that funding into the community and make sure that these people's families can be fed at this time. So really, it's a matter of dollars at this point, and opportunities, performance, exhibition opportunities.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you both very much for your good work. We really appreciate it. It's awesome. Thank you. Take care.
Thank you, Sydney and Joy.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
You're not going anywhere. You lucky people.
So up next is the Nelson District Arts Council. Have you got another hat on there?
I was going to put a wig on, but it's really hot. I was just saying to Joy that I haven't performed in front of this many people in like a year, and so I'm like starved. It's great. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm just about to start my PowerPoint situation, and we'll see if this... Can you see that?
Yep. I can.
Is that...
Anyway. Looks good
all
from
right.
this end, yeah.
Excellent. Well, good evening, Mayor Dooley, council members and staff. I'd like to thank you for this opportunity to present to you today. My name is Sydney Black, and I'm the Executive Director of the Nelson and District Arts Council. So we were founded in 1969, and we currently have 10 dedicated volunteer board members. We employ 1 3/4-time executive director, 3 summer students, 10 event contractors, and over 100 artists who are paid out almost $230,000 in wages and fees this year. We continue to focus on 3 pillars of support: showcasing opportunities, providing educational opportunities, and working with the regional, provincial, and federal governments to ensure that the needs of local artists and arts organizations are met, which is more important now than it ever has been before. So how did COVID impact us? On March 17th, the entire gig economy was eradicated overnight. NDAC continued to focus our attention on ensuring that every artist and arts worker that we had contracted would still have a paying job, and we would continue to provide the programs in our community that pay and provide opportunities to artists in the region. This image is of Bryn Stevenson, who's working on the Nelson Together mural that we created in collaboration with the Emergency Operations Center, and it's a time capsule of sorts, which lists the stats from the initial months of the pandemic. And so why is it important that you fund the Arts Council? Because we support the city's Path to 2040 principles, because we support the local economy through artist support and presentation, and have been recently named as the sector representatives for arts and culture on the Nelson and Area Economic Development Partnership and the Columbia Basin Economic Core Recovery Leadership Team. We also require support from our municipality in order for other funders to see us as a viable entity, and we create important programming that engages our community. So we had our Nelson International Mural Festival this year, and despite COVID, it was very successful. Fortunately, the creation of murals is a relatively solitary activity, so we were able to continue with it. We were incredibly encouraged by the business community's support, despite challenging times, and we were delighted to have private wall owners who stepped up to support NDAC's beautification of our downtown core. 6 pieces were created by BC-based artists. And while murals were able to continue on a fairly regular fashion, our music and workshop portion of the festival had to be entirely rethought. So we went from this sweet, awesome community dance party to this. Yay! So our amazing team pulled the full festival online, streaming over 70 hours of content, including 5 days of youth dance workshops with over 15,000 unique viewers the weekend of the festival. Every individual that was involved showed their true resilience as we made this huge change, which in theory sounded really easy, but in reality was definitely not. We sourced a contractor from San Francisco, Kristen Sunday, who helped us retrain our live sound staff as streaming technicians. In collaboration with the West Kootenay Regional Arts Council, we made sure that all arts and culture organizations in the basin had the opportunity to participate in this training as well, free of charge. All of our dance teachers for our 5 days of youth dance workshops were from Vancouver and live streamed directly from their studios. And we pre-recorded all of our festival weekend performance artists, engaging professional videographers, film editors, and sound designers in both Nelson and Vancouver, while abiding by all provincial health orders and regulations. Our coordinator for Art Walk, Stephanie Myers, and her team put together an incredible 32nd annual Art Walk celebration. As artist support became paramount, we waived all fees and commissions that the Arts Council would normally charge to participating visual artists, and all artists who applied had the opportunity to be showcased in our virtual gallery. We connected with local businesses who have large social media accounts, and they became our online Art Walk venues. Each business had 2 artists that they showcased on their channels over the summer, driving traffic back to the gallery where buyers could connect directly with the artists. We held 2 online openings featuring 24 local performers who had pre-recorded their sets and featured live hosts streamed from our office at City Hall. In 2020, NDAC developed an anti-racism statement declaring our commitment to reviewing our policies, procedures, and programs with an anti-racist lens and ensuring that we continue to dismantle the systems of white supremacy in our organization that discriminate against Black people, Indigenous peoples, and people of color. We are currently in the process of hiring consultants with lived experience to support us in this work and have been actively taking part in training sessions and workshops through the Civic Theatre's Rural Arts Inclusion Lab, Tiny Lights, the Resilience BC Anti-Racism Network, and others. We must build safer spaces for BIPOC artists to create, feel seen, and heard, and this work is a small step forward on the path to truly connecting our entire community. The Rural Artist Support Weekend provides the opportunity for regional artists to participate in educational workshops that focus on the business of art, something that is often daunting for creators. The symposium featured speakers from the local business community, as well as representatives from Creative BC and covered marketing, rural arts in COVID times, and grant writing workshops. These events occurred in collaboration with the Civic Theatre as part of Nelson's Culture Days celebrations and were offered completely free of charge in an online format. And 140 individuals attended the 4 sessions that were provided that weekend, and people still can continue to access those sessions as they're housed on our socials now. Our Youth Arts Action Committee is a collaboration with the Nelson Youth Action Network, the Youth Center, and NDAC. This year, the YAC, which we call it, created their 3rd youth-led mural, this time on the Youth Center. As a COVID pivot, youth artists held online design sessions with their artist mentor, Maddie Cakes, and then had supplies delivered to their homes, where they individually created their own portions of the mural. After the individual pieces were collected and installed, Maddie connected the works to create a cohesive piece on the building. This was a great way to continue this program in uncertain times. We were honored to work with local legend Tyler Tays on the City Hall mural project, supported by the Columbia Basin Trust and City of Nelson in collaboration with the CDC. This was by far our largest mural project to date and came at a time when the community was seeking unity. This impactful piece brought joy to many at an incredibly dark time and has transformed our City Hall building from a blank canvas to the heart of our community. The Cottonwood Stage project was completed in 2020. This project was funded by CBT, the City and Creative BC's Industry Initiatives Program, which was funding that NDAC applied for in collaboration with a Cultural Development Officer. We are looking forward to the future when the space can be programmed safely and will provide endless opportunities for barrier-free community programming. And instead of our annual Dance Educator Showcase, which sees sold-out crowds come together to support dance professionals in the community, we pivoted to creating 4 films featuring solo dancers and local performance artists. It also gave us the opportunity to engage with professional videographers and ensured that our local performance artists were paid professional wages for their work. 4 shorts will be released over the coming months, featuring artists Alison Gervin and Lindsay Clegg, Noah Dagan and Lila Gray, Fabiola Gascon and Adam Shake, and Shayna Jones and Slava Doval, who are pictured here, whose piece is already on our YouTube channels. And financial time. So as you can see from our graph, the majority of our funding came from provincial grants in 2020, and our earned revenues were down due to not being able to hold ticketed events this year. Our total revenues this year were $347,367. And our expenses mostly covered artist, arts worker, contractor, and staff wages, feeding our local arts and arts workers' families. Our total expenditures for 2020 were $329,462. And we retained 5% of our revenues this year as contingency funds because the arts and culture landscape is so uncertain, and we want to make sure that we're prepared to provide all of the programming that we can. And so we respectfully request $5,000 from the city for fiscal activities in 2021 in the means of $2,500 cash and a $2,500 rental subsidy for our office, which is located at 310 Ward Street. And our future plans, we're just gonna hug. We're just gonna hang out. We're gonna just hug and hug and hug. But we're hopefully lots of hugs and community gatherings, dances and celebrations. But until that is possible, we are committed to ensuring that our programming continues to support local artists and arts workers financially and through other means as they negotiate this incredibly challenging time. We are very grateful to those funders who are allowing us to provide these incredibly important opportunities. And thank you, Team City of Nelson. It's such a pleasure to get to work with you all and create in this community, and we really appreciate your support. And I will open the floor for any questions.
Okay, fair enough. Hang on till we get the screen. Till we pull down your screen there. There you go. Thanks very much, Sydney. You're a master at these presentations. I would give my right arm to be at, there you go, from ABBA, right?
Totally. We'll get there. We'll get there.
Sydney and Council, we're just, for whatever reason, when you leave your shared screen, it goes blank, so we just have to log off and log back on, so there will be a like 15-second delay here.
It is. Me and Jesse
Okay,
can do
we
it.
got you back now. I think we have everybody back now, so, all right, we have a couple of hands up. Oh, one of them's yours, Sydney. The other one's this Councillor Lachtenberg. Go ahead, Councillor Lachtenberg.
Hey, Sydney, thanks for that. Good work as always. I have a question related to something you said about the streaming. That you had been able to train some of the event staff to develop some streaming skills, and I'm wondering if this is something that we're going to see more of, and you're going to make more of a priority. Specifically, it's something that I've thought a lot about. I've asked a few times that the city of Nelson and the arts and the culture community hasn't maybe embraced, reaching out through the medium as much as they could. Like I think of the library maybe doing more with Wikipedia to become Wikipedians, the arts community to do and really specialize in developing their social, their YouTube channels, their TikTok profiles, that kind of thing. Is this something that we've got? Wait, first, how are we doing in your opinion? Because we might be doing great and I just don't know it. And if we're not doing great, is it something that you think the arts community will make a bit more of a priority going forward?
I think it's just taken time for some organizations to make that pivot. Some people have had to order gear that's taken 8 months to get to them. But I really truly believe that like the organizations that we have been collaborating with have all been doing their best to get their content online. I'm not going to list what that is because they're going to talk about all of their awesome digital programming in the next hour or so. But I definitely, like CAST has done a great job. They provided a streaming training opportunity. We provided that streaming opportunity to learn how to do it. And so organizations have definitely been engaged in it. But it's also it's a tough gig. Like live streaming a festival, like we had not massive numbers, and our numbers were similar to like the Shambhala of Europe, which is crazy to me because they would have such a larger audience, right? And so it's all, yeah, I think it's just kind of, I think everybody's getting there. It's just taken a little bit, but I really feel like this next year, everyone's going to be hitting their stride, and you're going to be seeing a lot more digital content coming out from all the organizations in the area.
Okay, great. Thanks.
I think we were all thinking that this was going to blow over in a couple of months and we'll be back to normal. So that probably had an impact as well, on the urgency to get there. So, Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. Sydney, thank you. That was it's great. And the last image there just about made me cry. Wow. Like, but I did want to ask you, as building on what Councillor Lottenberg said, do you feel like that as we hopefully move through COVID and get to the other side, that there are elements of things that you've learned in the COVID period that you'll retain in terms of like the digital aspect of it? Because it seems like a lot of things are heading in that direction. Do you feel like that there are some pieces there?
Absolutely. The great thing about all of this digitization is the fact that you have content after you've created everything. And so now we have all of these videos and things that we've amassed that we can use to create more of a draw to our social media networks, to our online platforms. And so, yeah, I think there's definitely aspects like workshops are way more easily accessible. The youth dance workshops worked out really well because we could have youth from Rossland and youth from the Valley participating, and even like youth from Vancouver ended up coming. So so that was really, really great. And that's also the cool part about that, is having that connectivity with people that wouldn't get to connect otherwise. So that's been a really beautiful part. And so I think that we'll always have some sort of potential digital aspect around, even when we are having our live festival, just so that we can have that extra impact and show the world what we're doing.
Thank you, Sydney. Thank you for your work.
My pleasure.
Any further questions? Hearing none?
Yeah, I've got one.
Oh, Keith, okay.
Maybe it's more of a comment, but I think what you tap on there, Councillor Lottenberg and Councillor Woodward, is that, and I think I heard you right, Sydney, is that digital aspect really allows us to do more, right? Like we create the content and then we can access a bigger audience. We create the dance workshop and we can bring more people in and leave something behind to build from next time. But it's about Nelson and then adding this whole extra layer of opportunity on top of what we're already doing. So we have to keep doing what we're doing. It just allows us to access more of the world and showcase all that. And it's not a replacement. It's an add-on.
Exactly. Nothing is a replacement for the original. We all miss it so much. Like, that's all we want in the world, is to just be able to do what we do best. So
unless it's a hot pink wig.
Mr. Mayor, Kevin here. Sydney, just in terms of reaching that broader regional audience, are you seeing any other local governments step up and support, the arts and culture sector, similar to what's happening in Nelson?
Well, we've always been really well supported by the RDCK, E&F. They've always been really generous with us with discretionary funds. And so we actually haven't tapped into that for 2021 yet. I haven't made any of those applications or call-outs, but they've always been very supportive. So.
And I was thinking broader. You just mentioned dancers from Roslyn.
Yeah.
Right?
There was one. But yes, absolutely. There's definitely space potentially as we grow. And if we maintain these digital strategies, that we can look at outsourcing funding options to a larger area.
Excellent. Any further questions? Hearing none. Thank you. Are you sticking around or are you leaving now?
I'm just going to go on mute and I'll put my headphones in and just listen.
All right. Thanks very much. All right.
Thank you,
care.
everyone.
Yeah,
take care.
Thank you, Sydney.
Okay, up next is the Capitol Theatre. And once again, it's another presentation from our cultural sector. And I'm sure we have, who do we have on tonight? Oh, we have Stephanie for sure. And Heather.
Good evening, councillors and mayor. My name is Heather Shippett, and I am joined with Claire Hallam. And we're both board members at the Capitol Theatre. And with us is Stephanie Fisher, our executive director of the theatre here. And just before we start, I'd just like to acknowledge the land on which we're operating is the unceded traditional territory of the Sinaiaks, Lakes, and the Yakanuki Lower Kootenay Band people. We believe the arts contribute in the decolonizing efforts that we all share together. So tonight we're presenting the highlights of our 2019 and 2020 fiscal year and the resilience that we have been working on during COVID. And Stephanie's got some slides up here. So, thank you. Here is a snapshot of our 2020 summer youth program that we moved into the park this summer because of COVID.
Next.
There.
Yeah. So the Capitol Theatre, we had an engaging and successful season, and we were lucky to finish our artist touring season before we had to shut the theatre in mid-March. At fiscal year end, on April 30th, we showed a surplus of $37,000. Our revenues are a combination of grants and earned revenues, with ticket sales and rental revenues being the largest portion with 60%. I would like to thank you for granting us annual operating support to offer continued access to performing arts. Our expenses were comparable to other years, showing $185,000 in wages for 2 full-time staff and 4 part-time staff, and with 32% going to professional fees. The city's operating grant is of vital importance to us and covers costs such as Nelson Hydro, water and sewer, and city fiber. It supports facility maintenance, fire systems maintenance, and subsidizes theater rental fees for local professional producers.
We hosted 130 shows and events at the Capitol Theatre. And we collaborate with 5 rural venues to create touring stops for companies. It's a complex process with a common goal to bring professional performing arts to rural communities.
We have our
next slide, I think.
Next slide, I think. Our dedicated team makes theater magic happen. This year, we're welcoming Allison Gervin to our team and saying goodbye to Eva McKim, who has been at the helm at the box office for the last 15 years. This is a slide from Jane's and the Giant Peach. It was a smashing success. And one youth commented that the process of auditioning for a production like that one was with kind, supportive directors who wanted me to succeed was invaluable in building my confidence.
We produced the 30-second pantomime featuring a cast of 45 of all ages. The pantomime is our annual major fundraiser with revenues going to theatre operations. Due to COVID, there was no pantomime in 2020. We produced the 5th annual Indigenous Culture Celebration. We continue to build meaningful relationships and do this work in collaboration with Indigenous advisors and elders. This year's 6th annual celebration is coming up in March, and we've pivoted to producing virtual events that will be available to teachers and the community.
The second Fireworks Community Choir brought together 3 youth choirs and community singers to perform for 1 hour. It was stunning to hear all of the voices come together. We continue to deliver youth workshops, and the workshops are always great fun for all ages. For 2021, plans are underway to deliver workshops either outside or to find a digital solution.
We continued our partnership with the Nelson Overture Concert Society, and our performance on screen program is building momentum.
We continued our facility upgrades and replacement of outdated technical theater equipment. Upgrades support our programming, and up-to-date technology and equipment is essential in satisfying the needs of our artists and our renters. We had many outstanding community productions on our stage. I hope you got to see some, and are deeply concerned about the local producers and artists who are hard hit by the theater's on and off closure and limited audience numbers.
Our programming would not be possible without the support of government funders and seasoned sponsors. A shout out also goes to our donors, volunteers, and local businesses who are supporting us to overcome the current challenges.
Stephanie, you're muted.
Stephanie, you're on mute.
Stephanie, we can't hear you.
Okay.
There you are. We can hear you now.
Okay, I think we are back on track here. We are living in unprecedented times, as are so many other businesses. However, thanks to the federal wage subsidy, resilience emergency grants, and city operational funding, we were able to keep our staff employed and continue planning for the future. Keeping trained, knowledgeable, and dedicated staff is vitally important to the sustainability of the theatre now and for continuing a successful business. Involving the team through a collective decision-making process ensures success now, longevity post-pandemic. Besides applying for COVID resilience funding, riding health protocols, and continued renovations, we knew that we had to pivot to digital streaming and reinventing program delivery. It became clear early on in the pandemic that we are in for a 2-year marathon. So we fundraised to purchase streaming equipment, and our tech staff went on a steep learning curve. We now have the lights, the stage, the sound, the equipment, the platforms, and the expertise to handle professional recording and streaming. And we have plans to pivot our programming.
In collaboration with the Chamber of Commerce, we produced the 2020 Canada Day celebration video, and 700 people tuned in to watch it. We delivered 4 weeks of the summer youth program off stage, which culminated in a production of a 2-hour movie. Youth learned to act for the camera and the process of making a movie, and most importantly, had the opportunity to spend time together in person. In collaboration with the LVR drama program, we brought live theatre to Nelson Homes. In September, we launched Homegrown, a performance series featuring local and BC artists that is replacing our touring artist season. The first shows were sold out, but due to the closure of the theatre before the holidays, we are rescheduling the live shows.
For now, we will continue to focus on streaming and recording. Now that we have the expertise in the recording professional videos, we are seeing interest in this as an added service, and we are still very busy with maintenance and renovations.
Theater is a place where people connect. And no, this is the slide before. Theater is a place where people connect and create community. We work diligently to ensure that the Capital Theatre keeps on thriving. And to that end, we are asking your support in 3 categories. An increase in our current operating grant of 3 to 5%, or $2,000 to $3,500 to mitigate the rising costs of living. A one-time COVID operational grant of $40,000. This grant would pay for 50% of monthly wages from mid-June to December 2021, replacing the wage subsidy funding. A one-time $20,000 capital grant to match $20,000 from Canadian Heritage Cultural Spaces program to complete the artist washroom renovations.
We continue planning to create a cultural hub for Nelson. We've received funding to create a business plan and continue to discuss this project with potential collaborators.
We can't wait to welcome our audiences back again, hopefully in the late fall. Thank you so much for your time, and please, if you'd like to see more, you can visit our social media, our website, platforms, and sign up to our newsletter to stay informed during this turbulent time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Back to the group now. Thank you very much for your presentation. We just hold on for a moment or two till we round up the rest of council on our screen, and there may or may not be some questions for you.
Yeah, give us about 15 seconds.
Okay, we're back. Looks like we're back. Right. So thank you for your presentation. At council, any questions?
You're welcome.
Councillor Woodward.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. What I actually just wanted to say was a comment. I just want to say, thank you for moving through a really difficult year. I think that the whole theater community is such a hard hit one, because it's that, you know, you want to pack a theater with 400 people and have an incredible community experience. And I've been to so many shows there, and it's just magic is created in that hall. So I just want to say thank you for your work and keeping it alive and pushing through and finding innovative ways to keep the art going, and good work. Thank you.
I'd like to say, as a board member, we just want to thank Stephanie so much for everything she's put in to keeping everything going this year, and the rest of the staff too, of course.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for the presentation, ladies. That was great, and I would echo Councillor Woodward's sentiments as well. My question was on your financials. You're looking for a 3 to 5% increase in operating. Can you put a dollar figure on that for me, just roughly?
Yeah, it would be a $2,000 to $3,500 increase to our operating grant.
Okay, and what would that increase it to, Stephanie, if you don't mind?
This increase would basically give me a chance to increase to have a 2% wage increase for our staff. What the grant would go up to? That's what you're asking. Right now we are getting $70,200.
Okay.
But keep in mind, as I pointed out in the presentation, that we are responsible for paying hydro, water and sewer, and maintenance, fire suppression services, upgrades to the HVAC. We all pay that. So the $17,200 is fantastic, but we pay a chunk of that back to the city.
Great. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Councillor Page.
Thank you, Mayor Dooley. On your ask here for the $20,000 capital contributions towards bathrooms, were the touchless features that you put in, I can't remember the timing of when those happened. Is that a COVID response? Was that, okay,
So we, this is a project that is going on since 2018, like 2019. It was a 2-year project of renovations of like $350,000. And because of COVID, we decided to renovate the patrons' washrooms with putting in the touchless toilets and faucets, which of course increased the costs dramatically and substantially because it all needs to be hooked up to electrical. And we also increased the capacity of our air unit in the washrooms. So with that, we were left with no money to renovate the artist washrooms, which I would really like to do. I talked to our program officer from Cultural Spaces Canada, and she said they would be willing to amend our contract with an additional $20,000 if we can find $20,000, because they only pay 50% of funding towards the project.
Okay.
Thank you, Stephanie. Any further questions? Hearing none, thank you very much to all three of you for taking your time out tonight to present to us. We appreciate that very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, onward and upward. We're up to Touchstones Museum and Art History.
Hello there, I'm back. I will share my screen.
Oh, you're back again. Okay, good to see you. Yeah.
Whoops. Okay. Everybody ready? Okay, good evening, Mayor, Council, staff, and greetings to the City of Nelson. My name is Astrid Herdal, and I'm the Executive Director of Touchstones Nelson Museum of Art and History, and it's my honor to be here representing Touchstones, our members, board, staff, and many volunteers, and to present our 2021 grant request and report on our 2020 year. It's undeniable that Touchstones matters, locally, regionally, provincially, and even nationally. We all know of the economic impact, cultural value, and mental health benefits of the arts and heritage sector, and that our work fully aligns with the vision and mission of the City of Nelson. We celebrate diversity, history, and culture. We help to create a welcoming place for visitors and improve the quality of cultural life for residents and future generations. We are working towards these goals together. The City of Nelson provides Touchstones with an operating grant, which in 2020 provided 32% of our revenue. This funding is used to leverage significant regional, provincial, and federal funding to the benefit of Nelson and area. Without this grant, we would not bring in hundreds of thousands of dollars into our community. Funds which directly impact Nelson and provide economic stimulus through job creation, increased tourism, and the employment of local contractors with interior revitalization and renovation projects of the bunker and 502 Vernon Street, a city-owned building. I should show you the crumbling window frames over here behind me in the boardroom. For 2021, we are respectfully requesting that the City of Nelson honors the 2% increase to our operating grant to account for inflation. If 2% increases have been given since 2015, 2021 funding levels would be $250,000. This is our request. The 2019 average increase in BC CPI was 2.3%, higher than any other province or territory in Canada. And these are averages, not taking into account, for example, the considerably higher increases in energy, insurance, taxes, building maintenance, shipping, and more. With the aggregate expenses of the organization having increased beyond this 2%, not having this inflation increase erodes Touchstone's capacity for expanding community contribution. Mayor and Council, I know that you understand the significance and importance of the work that we do, and that you truly value an understanding of our past in order to better shape our future. The City grants enables Touchstones to enact our vital mandate and service to the city and citizens of Nelson and area, to provide exceptional, professional, museum standard care for Nelson and area's archives, heritage sites, history collection, as well as to curate our 2 public art galleries which showcase the work of outstanding Canadian artists. Now we come to 2020 and COVID-19. In this time of global uncertainty, Touchstones pivoted with great leadership, unwavering and strong dedication to our mission, vision, and mandate, and to the service we provide to our community. We never came to the City of Nelson with an emergency funding request, but instead chose to secure funding from federal, provincial, and regional sources. Emergency funding allowed us to account for a decrease in earned revenue for grants that were rescinded or reallocated to other years due to exhibition schedule changes because of closures, as well as greater expenses brought on by virtual programming, health and safety protocols, and building changes, and the challenges of remote working within the heritage sector. I hope you'll see the photograph of Jean-Philippe Stienne, our archivist, working from home. COVID-19 and the resulting financial impact of the arts and heritage sector further revealed a vulnerability and insecurity for Touchstones. Our core operational funding from the City of Nelson is not guaranteed, and this puts Nelson and area's history collection and archives in jeopardy. We look forward to discussing a solution with you. A solution in the form of a service agreement which might come into effect for 2022, for example. A service agreement between Touchstones and the city would align with regional, provincial, and federal best practices for our sector and reassure other funding bodies, many of whom are greatly concerned about a lack of service agreement with our municipality. This would also provide a solid funding platform, allowing for greater sustainability, responsible growth, and relevancy to our community, and further economic impact. Despite the challenges of COVID-19 on our sector and our entire global community, we were able to maintain operations and keep all staff. We are very proud of this. This means we were able to ensure the continued professional care of the archives and history collection, and Erin Fay, curator, continued to curate, of course, with exhibitions including Paul Wald, Tom Thompson Centennial Swim, the Members Show, Turning Pages, celebrating 100 years of the Nelson Public Library, Meryl McMaster as Immense as the Sky, and the collaborative exhibition Métis Art and History. We also continued successful projects such as the digitization of the Nelson Daily News, an incredible resource for our community. Book clubs, artist talks, yoga in the gallery, art lab family programming, all pre-COVID, of course, in the early winter. And most importantly, we pivoted. We worked with filmmakers and local videographers to develop virtual programming, including story time and the little library videos, many hands-on artist workshops with pickup art bundles, virtual museum mash, several virtual tour offerings, interactive truth and reconciliation workshops focusing on Their Voices Will Guide Us educational material in preparation for the Red Dress Project by Métis artist Jamie Black. We moved our gift shop online to support local artists in these challenging times. And we also made building changes such as touchless features in the washrooms and so much more. We also created social justice programming, further questioning the colonial history of all museums and taking meaningful steps towards systemic change, anti-racism, truth and reconciliation, and decolonization, such as the Red Ribbon Rounded Interventionist exhibition created by Leslie Gardo that is still on display on the second floor museum. If you haven't seen it, I encourage you to come into the museum. We also created the Missing Voices film project featuring 15 videos of locals, which spoke about misrepresentation or lack of representation currently in our museum space. This project was just featured in the January 21st edition of the Nelson Star, and all videos are available through our website and on video. 2020 also saw the planting of seeds for the future with robust strategic planning and grant writing for 2021 capital projects and much more. In addition, we were recognized provincially through the BC Museums Association for our 2018 A Mountain Biking Retrospective exhibition. It was incredible in such hard times to receive an award for work that we had done. And we'd like to thank the mountain bike community for working with us to make this happen. And last but not least, in 2020, we launched Nelson's Cold War Bunker. You've already heard about this project, and thank you again for the Incredible Heritage Award. I was remiss, I did not have a very special thank you when I accepted the award. A special thank you to Jean-Philippe Stian, Archivist and Collections Manager, and to his team of volunteers and students for their incredible work on this project. Due to diligent grant writing throughout 2020 and emergency funding applications, we were solvent for 2020. We will not have a deficit. This showcases our financial management capacity, leadership, and resiliency as an organization. To further illustrate concerns with 2020 in comparison to 2019, let's look at some revenue figures. Admissions in 2020 were down 53% from 2019, shop sales down 20%, program fees down 31%. Fundraising revenue was down by 97% because of course we had to cancel our annual gala. Interestingly enough, membership sales went up from 2019 to 2020 by 8%. This showcases the continued value that the community sees in the work that we do. And archival fees were relatively consistent, again, showcasing the ongoing need of the archives for research and educational purposes, even in a global pandemic. As previously stated, the City of Nelson grant accounted for 32% of our revenue. This grant covered building, operational expenses, and insurance in the amount of $142,000, and the remaining portion of the city grant covered 29% of staff wages. The rest of our operational budget was covered by other grants and earned and contributed revenues. I would like to point out that 21% went towards exhibitions in 2020, programs and archives as well, very close to the 20% going towards the building and insurance. It's very important to recognize how much of the city's grant goes back to the operations and maintenance of the city building. Although 2020 was a year of emergency support for our sector nationally and provincially, it is vital that we continue our meticulous financial management, as 2021 will be a year of uncertainty. Uncertainty for funding and uncertainty for the arts and heritage sector in general, as we have heard from various presentations. We will see continued issues with limited tourism, decreases in earned revenue, lower admissions, and much more. Ongoing City of Nelson support will enable us to continue to access additional grants, which will benefit our community in these challenging times. We are moving forward into the unknown in 2021. 2021 and 2022 emergency funding and the state of the sector is unknown. Nonetheless, Touchstones is moving forward with innovative spirit, clear goals, and a strategic plan which will further connect our organization with history while expanding its future reach and breaking down barriers by examining our own organization, its history, and completing a full equity audit and training to ensure safe cultural spaces for all. We will create incredible virtual programming, exhibitions, and digitization projects. And we are also working with CAST to develop full digital strategy and create further virtual opportunities and efficiency in our organization. With ongoing city support, we can further leverage funding, collaborate on heritage projects such as the Ladybird display, captivate more audiences, and further break down systemic issues within our sector. We have very exciting projects lined up with confirmed funding, such as the Public Art Project on Vernon Street, and projects that are still funding dependent, such as third floor revitalization and new awnings. We hope to hear soon about these grants. In 2021, we will also continue to grow. We are very thrilled that this year marks the time when the beloved Nelson Sports Museum moves under the Touchstones umbrella to become the Nelson Sports Collection. The wonderful McDonnells and the museum team will be sharing more news of the details as they unfold. Touchstones will guarantee the future care of this collection for posterity. Touchstones matters. We have proven that we are exceptional, professional, and relevant. We pivot, we shift, we expand our audiences, and we have challenged the museum and archival status quo. We work towards positive change in our sector and will remain a key cultural hub and tourist draw for our community for years to come. In 2021, we will be incurring an additional $43,000 in operating expenses at the very minimum. $33,000 a year for the bunker, which includes building expenses, the lease, staffing, and security systems, and approximately $10,000 for the new sports museum under our umbrella. We have asked for $250,000 for 2021, an increase of $22,540 from 2019 levels. But as stated previously, $250,000 would bring us to what 2021 levels ought to have been with yearly inflation increases, and would still not cover this $43,000 in expansion to our operations. We are taking responsibility for our growth, and we hope that the City of Nelson will join us in this quest. Your support is vital. Your ongoing support ensures that we can care for your building, for the collection and archives, and can provide exhibitions and programs and leverage hundreds of thousands of dollars in additional funding, which benefits the city, citizens of Nelson, and visitors. We look forward to further enhancing our collaborative relationship with the City of Nelson for the betterment of our community. Thank you for your time and for your ongoing support, and I look forward to any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, and you could just give us a moment or two here to switch up to the full screen so we can get council on. Thank you very much for a great presentation. And we'll may or may not have questions for you, but just bear with us. Oh, Councillor Woodward, just hang on for 1 second. We're trying to get you on the bigger screen as well. So, here we go. Can you hear us now? Councillor Woodward?
Okay. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Astrid. It's great. It's yeah, definitely very, very challenging year. I'm wondering, you were saying that 2021 and 2022 is unknown. So you're kind of preparing for what we had in 2020 to basically continue and build your plans kind of around that uncertainty, eh? That's what you're thinking?
Absolutely. So with pivoting with full digital strategies, with shifting the way in which we operate as an organization, with really doing meaningful work to break down, the racist past of all museums and archives, this will, ensure that we're continuing to work towards the betterment of our organization in 2021 and 2022. We don't know what's coming down from the federal government or the provincial government in terms of emergency funding. So what it is that we're doing is deferring revenue, like the CEBA loan that we received in 2020 to 2021, so that we can meet any shortfalls with that, if there are any indeed.
Thank you very much, Astrid. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Any further questions? Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Astrid. That was great. Just wanted to a couple of quick comments, and what a great job you did with your financials this year, and in those trying times. Continued success moving forward. I really, really missed the fundraiser, of course.
It's a fun event.
It's one of the best times of the year, and you know, we didn't have it this June, so looking forward to that again. But just know that we're thinking about you all the time, and good work. Keep the nose to the grindstone.
Thank you, Cal. Yes, and we are not currently planning a gala for 2021. We just don't think it's going to happen, unfortunately. So once again, likely have 97% reduction in fundraising revenue, as we will.
We'll have a doozy in 2022.
We'll have a lovely celebration in 2022.
Yeah. Any further questions? Just a couple that I had, and Cal will know exactly what I'm talking about here, and maybe even Janice for that matter. But both of us are donors to the museum. I think our names are on the wall there somewhere. The Renwick family and the Dooley family, for when we first started building and renovating the facility. And
absolutely,
I'm just wondering if maybe that's an opportunity for the sports museum and maybe even the archives to try and pull something similar off for those two expansion pieces in the
absolutely. Yeah, so I can't announce anything quite yet because I'm still waiting on confirmation from, I'll just say, a federal funding body. But we are hoping to really look to our archives, because as you know, archives expand daily. They must. As history unfolds, we capture it. And so we're hoping to be able to bring in some capital project funding in order to create movable shelving in the archives. And that's also a really wonderful opportunity for donations from the community. And I think that the Nelson Sports Museum is so beloved. And as everyone here knows, the MacDonalds have done such an absolutely incredible job with their two sites and with the collection. And we're so thrilled to be able to bring this into a more professional sphere and to ensure the longevity of that collection. Because as Bill McDonnell said, you know, he does want to retire eventually from the Nelson Sports Museum, and so now we can, you know, ensure its ongoing success. And I think that there will be certainly some interest from the community to support that transition and to support the ongoing legacy of that site. Excellent. And collection. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. One other question for you. I think we have a request for proposals out to do the renovation on the outside exterior of your building and windows. So
yes.
That hopefully will happen this year, and that'll be amazing to get that done. And it might also include those windows you were just talking about, would it?
Yes, it does actually. So I've been in conversation for a while now with Peter Sinstadt, and hard to see. They're there, crumbling.
Yeah, there, well, you can see them from the outside too. Yeah.
Yeah, so you know the crumbling window frames, as I'm sure everyone knows, is a result of the failure of the envelope, and so it's really exciting that the City of Nelson is going to be getting the CBT funding to cover the repointing of the building as well as some of the interior work. And our hope is we've applied for a SAREP grant through the Unique Heritage Infrastructure Stream, which we're told now that we might actually hear on February 5th as to whether or not we receive that funding. And that will go to create a full renovation of this floor and, you know, turn this boardroom, which I'm currently sitting in, into a really phenomenal interactive virtual capacity space for educational workshops, post-COVID, of course, in person, and to create more public space within this building. The third floor is still an exceptional heritage venue. And so it'd be really lovely to be able to bring people into the turret behind me, for example, as a venue. And then also to have things like HVAC for staff would be lovely.
Yeah.
So we'll tell you if we get that grant. I'm excited for it. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much. I don't think there's any more questions.
Mr. Mayor.
Oh yeah, Kevin. Yeah, go ahead.
It's Kevin here. I just want to make sure but people are aware that the CBT grant we received is a small portion of the repointing costs on that building, and the City of Nelson is covering definitely the majority of the repointing on that building, which is obviously one of our premier heritage buildings, under good care with the Touchstones.
Yeah. Thanks,
Thank
Kevin.
you.
Oh, just one more thing. Well, you mentioned art on Vernon. What does that look like? Yeah, if you don't mind, I don't want to drag this out forever, but.
No, absolutely. So it's we've received some Columbia Basin Trust funding for a public art piece, and it's to be determined. So we've been working now with the City of Nelson, various departments within the city, and also with Joy Barrett to build an artist call and to create parameters around that call, which will fit with the building and the heritage aspect, and then the desire to really create an interactive and welcoming space outside of the museum that's really fitting of this kind of organization. The garden space that's currently there is not the most luscious of gardens, and so we can really replace that with a feature that will draw in more tourists and draw in more locals. But the ultimate choice will be the artists, and then the jury that we bring together to choose the artist that's finally going to do the piece, of course, in collaboration with the City of Nelson.
Oh, good, fantastic. Thank you very much. All right, thanks very much
Thank
for
you.
all your good work. We appreciate it, and take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Astrid.
Okay, up next is Kootenay Association of Science and Technology. And I'm not 100% sure who showed up for this, but I imagine somebody will pop up there. I've seen Sean's name on earlier. And there he is, yeah. And Andrea, are you part of that, or is it just Sean?
It's actually, good evening, everybody. It's Sean and Carol Cornelson, the CAS marketing manager and NIC marketing manager.
Excellent. Okay, you've got,
all right,
you've got the floor.
Great, excellent. So for some of you, I've only been on the job for 5 months and I haven't had the opportunity to meet all of you. So I thought I would sort of start off with just a quick introduction of myself. So although I'm new to the nonprofit world, I'm not new to the Kootenays. I'm actually a Kootenay local. I grew up in Roslyn. My family immigrated here in the 70s. After high school, I left the Kootenays, served in the military, then the ski industry, and for the last 2 decades, I've been working in the video game industry for Walt Disney, Warner Brothers, and Electronic Arts. 2 years ago, I was lucky enough to move back to the Kootenays, and I took on the position of executive director for CAS so I could be involved in the region. I see nothing but potential here. I've always thought that, and I've been chomping at the bit to get back home. So I'm going to launch right now into the presentation. We're going to talk about the year in review, our successes, the disruptions, our current finances, and moving forward plans for 2021. So CAS has been busier than ever since COVID hit. We've had multiple program launches. One of our premier successes has been the DER3 program. We've been helping Kootenay businesses in any sector enter or expand in the digital economy. This is a no cost, no obligation program. It says here 123 Kootenay businesses in the program so far since October, but I met with the team today and we're up around 150 now. 5 local contractors were employed on a 6-month contract. I made a point of only wanting to hire locals to help locals, and we've had huge success, and we actually lead the province with this program and how many businesses we're helping. We just launched recently the Tech Resiliency Program. It's providing Kootenay tech companies with mentorship, resources, and the expertise they need to build resiliency. We've just started this program, but we're already getting a really solid response. Upcoming is we're going to be launching in 2021 the Investor Readiness Program. And this is something that's going to help Kootenay investors. We're going to coach, provide information, networking, and investment opportunities through structured events and introductions. We want them to see the startups that are happening in the Kootenays and be confident in investing. Our 2020 successes. So last year we launched and opened the NIC on July 14th. Opening up a co-working space in the middle of a pandemic was tough. But we had 85 bookings in 10 weeks for the flexible work hub and boardroom. All NIC tenants have been secured. So we rent out space to Mountain Culture Group and CAST. Of course, we're in there, the NRC, IRAP, and Certicraft. So we're at 100% occupancy for rentals right now. We launched memberships in January 2020. To date, 53 new members receiving perks at NIC. I'll speak to this a little later, but we've recently undertaken a new membership program dealing with COVID and how we're going to shift our strategies. We also lead the Nelson Technology Advisory Council. We have a lot of subcommittees for NIC, marketing, capital, and talent and training. And this is an incredibly invaluable group that offers us guidance and feedback on some of our strategies. We also developed and launched the Kootenay Tech Consultant Program in April of 2020. We had 30 vetted consultants to call upon for programming and training. And one of the big things I want to bring up here is we really are trying to create a compulsion loop. When we launch a program, we hire local. We identify local companies that can help local companies. And that's sort of our loop that we're trying to increase and continue. NIC events and programming. So the Nelson Innovation Center, we've launched a few programs that have had sort of far-reaching throughout the Kootenays. One of our big successes so far has been the Kootenay pitch competition. We did 730 views on Facebook, 192 on YouTube. Our next event is coming up on February 4th. And this is where we select entrepreneurs in the region and we bring in judges with expertise in tech and business. And they get 10 minutes to pitch. I host the program and we've had great success and feedback on it. What I love about this is we're really exposing Kootenay business people who are starting up and getting feedback. We've hosted quite a few webinars, digital marketing, tax credit programs, live streaming was huge, one of our biggest attended events, sales and scaling, business money modeling, marketing and metrics. We've helped 101 local businesses through Virtual Connection Day with BC Tech Association, Columbia Basin Trust, Community Futures, and Basin Business Advisors. We really value these local relationships we have, and we're hoping, being a technology organization, that we can continue to work and sort of offer guidance to where needed. So our reach, Cass and the Nelson Innovation Center. On social media, we have 1,400 followers, 680 on Twitter, Instagram, we're closing in on 1,000. Our Nelson Tech Facebook group is over 1,000 members. That one stands out to me. That's all the tech workers in the area. We have a lot of new people who have joined our tech community. We've had an influx of people from the East and the West, and it's growing daily. Kootenay Tech Slack Workspace, which is a really vibrant community where people are engaging quite a bit. It's at 164 members. And our email list is 840 highly engaged tech entrepreneurs, companies, and partners. So COVID disruptions, what we've been dealing with. Rentals of NIC space and boardroom are on hold. And I just want to mention here that we're sort of in step with all the other innovation centers in BC. We've reached out, we've talked about COVID protocols, we've talked to them all about what they're experiencing, and we're all facing very similar challenges. Our membership program has been paused during shutdown. I felt strongly that if we weren't offering all the resources that we should be, we're going to pause the membership and give us a chance to come up with a new program. We're just putting the final wraps on it. It's going to be an online program only. We're going to reduce the cost, but we're going to try and elevate our offerings so that we can keep people engaged. The NIC is currently closed to public and members. All meetups and in-person events have been canceled. Currently, the NIC is only open to our tenants. They follow strict COVID protocols, being very respectful of what's going on, and we do have staff in the building on a regular basis. We are looking at cutting staff and trimming back operations. One of the things I've been trying to do is figure out during this time how we can be most impactful and continue to make a difference in the community. And by that, we're scaling back certain operations, consolidating roles, and everybody is taking on extra responsibilities. We want to avoid the actions of other BC accelerators who have decided to end their leases and greatly reduce their office space. It's required us to rethink our entire business model and get creative with our future revenue streams. New strategies are required to deal with the changing landscape, and aggressive plans are being put in place to deal with changes and delays in government funding, options, and sponsorships. As a lot of the great presenters tonight mentioned, we're kind of starting to work with a lot of local groups, offering sort of guidance on what they can do with technology to further their own sort of pursuits. So NIC has been a community effort, and this is one of the things I absolutely love about the Kootenays and one of the reasons why I personally wanted to move back here. The NIC began as a grassroots project. It's been a strategic priority of the NAEDP since 2015, a very effective group. Community Futures Central Kootenay secured initial funding in the Rural Dividend Fund at $300K. That was matched by NAEDP partners at $60K. Chamber of Commerce, who is also our landlord, secured job creation program investment, $90K, and 5 to 6 construction jobs. The City of Nelson provided strategic leadership and financial support for 1 full-time position our NIC Community Events Manager, Karen, and 30K 2019, 50K in 2020. Getting the NIC built, designed, and up and running was a monumental task, and it just shows how well this community works together when they're faced with an opportunity to create something awesome. So our operations budget. One of the things I've been spending my time on is streamlining our operation right down to the bare minimum. So we are at 100% occupancy for rent. We have the City of Nelson, our ask, and I'll get to the details on that in a second. Our cash contribution to programming and fee intake, corporate sponsorship. We are having, like many other organizations, challenges with our funding and challenges with our sponsorship. We're looking at corporate and local sponsorships, and this is all going back into our new programming process. We're looking at government funding, WD, Innovate BC, failed to add in there CITIT and some other ones. We are being delayed on our submissions for a lot of them, but it's just patience, and we're prepping our proposals now. Our ask. So COVID-19 has significantly disrupted the NIC's goals. With that in mind, we are submitting 3 funding operations for your consideration. I believe in being 100% transparent with what we're doing, and our asks are in the spirit of just, this is what we need to continue going. Our first one is to cover operations, programming, staffing for a full-time manager and a part-time coordinator. We're asking a lot of our staff right now. Everyone's taking on extra duties. Everyone is contributing their ideas, and everything is on the table to be successful for this year. We have 3 options here. Option B is operations, a portion plus staffing, and option C is what we've asked for in the past, which is staffing. We are slightly above what we were last year in our ask of 50,000 because we're asking a lot more of Karen these days. Not only is she handling the promotion and marketing of the Nelson Innovation Center, she's reaching out for community engagement on an unprecedented level, and she's taken on the role of securing a ton of new programming ideas and partnerships. Moving forward, so looking ahead in 2021, we're meeting the challenges of COVID head on. We're evolving our strategies, and we're looking at how we engage with our communities like Nelson. We will keep the NIC relevant, visible, accessible, and vibrant, despite COVID. Everything coming out of the NIC moving forward will now be online. We're ready to transition when COVID restrictions are lifted. So what we do when we're planning for our changes through COVID, we're also looking ahead at how quickly we can transition when things move back to normal. Moving forward, it's CAS's goal to consistently and enthusiastically engage the local tech and non-tech community. It's really important that we call out our non-tech community. Through our DR3 program and dealing with businesses, we're inviting companies and individuals into the tech community and saying you can be a part of this now. We're trying to be accessible and engaging and welcoming to everybody. So here are some of the offerings we're looking at for 2021. Online programming, webinars and workshops target at tech workers, startups, and a lot of groups that we haven't actually recognized and dealt with in the past. And it's really important to me that we change our sort of parameters of inclusivity and really look how we can reach out to these groups that we haven't worked with in the past. Online youth initiatives. I come from the video game industry, so we're looking at things like video game design camps, coding workshops, the Kootenay Contraption Contest, Robot Week, and a Twitch channel. Part of this strategy with our youth programs is to create a community for our youth to engage in. I grew up on the Kootenays. I was lucky enough to grow up 5 minutes from a ski hill, and that was my community. It's really tough now. We've been hearing about kids not being able to skate and get together. I work in the video game industry. I've seen the positive elements of creating an online community if it's handled and monitored properly. Virtual events. So our Kootenay pitch competition has been very successful. We're also reaching out to local businesses, not asking for sponsorship, not asking for money or anything like that. We're just reaching out to them to showcase them. We do it in inventive ways by having beer growlers on the table when we shoot the videos, by wearing hats that represent some of the stores, and just getting our community involved. We're launching this year the Quantum Leaps program again. This is for female youth. video game competitions. And a big one for us is we've asked for a grant from CBT for equipment for live streaming of community and cultural events. One of the things we want to do here is back to that phrase, compulsion loop. We want to own the equipment, rent it out, and also identify the contractors in town who can provide the expertise that's needed. What we want to do is offer services to businesses that want to use it, and then at the same time, hire contractors. CAS is all about facilitating employment and contracts and getting people involved. We want to turn the NIC into a media hub. We want to offer events like Between Two Skis. It's going to be a Kootenay Locals and Science Tech interview show podcast, and the Big Mountain Brain Panel. It's Kootenay tech entrepreneurs that are gathering for broadcasted Q&A sessions. Now, the only unfortunate thing about this is I'm going to be hosting these, and they're going to be done as similar to like a talk show, but we have a lot of people who are ready to get going. This is the kind of thing that we're going to broadcast. We're going to make accessible not only to the tech community, but to everyone else. We have a lot of incredibly inspiring individuals in this town. We want to make sure that we're tapping into them and giving them a chance to talk. One of the big goals for us is to create a digital library of all these events and webinars and programs. We want access. We want the public to have access to it. And we want it to be member exclusive, get people involved. And we want to sort of give out free access to youth and college students and anyone else who normally wouldn't be engaged. So that was a very rough and quick blast of what we're planning. We want to sustain a vibrant and evolving tech community, one where the NIC is at the core of Nelson's evolving entrepreneurial and community narrative. We have a real opportunity here to bring people together and tell the story we want to tell when we look back on 2020 and 2021. I'd also like to sincerely thank the City of Nelson for inviting us to be a part of this tonight. I was quite humbled by all the other presenters. There's some fantastic stuff going on, and I really appreciate your time and your consideration.
Thanks very much, Sean. Just hang on there for a moment, and we'll get the rest of the team back on the screen, and there may be some questions for you.
Absolutely.
I was skiing over at Granite these days. I can't hear me now, yeah. We have a few up. I think we got just about everybody.
Yeah, Sean, we can hear you perfectly fine, but I see John's lips moving, and we haven't heard a single word he said.
I think I'm back on now, Keith.
Yeah, you're there.
Yeah. It's a little bit of a job here for Gabriel to try and sort of pull everything together. So, Janice, I've seen your hand up, I think. Go right ahead.
So, thank you, Sean, for your presentation. You and I haven't had the opportunity to meet since you've taken on the role. I do have some concerns, and I'll just be blunt. When CAS when this project first came to us to start this, we were looking at a request of $20,000, which the city was more than willing to bring forward and give. And last year it was $50,000, which was kind of a leap from the 20, because we were told that they just needed some startup money and then things would get going. So we went from 20 to 50, and we're assured at 50 that things would start to turn. And I realized that COVID has ruined many plans for many people. But now I see an ask, and I can look at the bottom ask at 60, so it's still going up, or the 125, which is almost tripling what we gave last year. And I was just wondering, it's pretty exciting. I have to say, you talk a language that's just beyond me, because I'm as far away from tech. I'm a Luddite with a capital L. Lots of things going on. But when do you see that the Innovation Center might actually show some revenue streaming and some actually potentially breaking even and not having to come to the city to ask to finance its staff and operations.
So Janice, before Sean answers, I think somebody's not on mute. Possibly, we're getting some feedback here. It sounds like somebody talking in the background somewhere. It may be on our side, but we can't seem to find that missing link. So just check and mute everybody that needs to, please. All right, Sean, fire.
Janice, thank you for your questions. And I agree that I had the same concern. When I took on the position and looked at our last asks and then the concept of coming to the city and asking again, it didn't sit well with me. The business plan for CAST, the original plan, was to engage the community, host events, increase our memberships, and none of those things happened. The pivot to online programming didn't happen fast enough. I don't feel good about coming and asking for money. What I'm hoping is it'll continue to allow us to make an impact and help businesses and community come together and inspire others to start businesses and ventures. And what I really hope for is this is the last time. I'm hoping with our new business plan and how we're going to engage, I'm hoping with some of the funding that may be available in the future that we'll be able to become self-sufficient. One of the big things I'm prepared to do, because I don't take this responsibility lightly, is further reduce our operating costs to get right down to bare bones for 2021 and make sure that going into 2022 that we don't have to come for an ask.
Any further questions of Sean? Councillor Page, go ahead.
I think I saw Lautenberg in line ahead of me,
Sorry,
so I'll defer to him first.
I
saw Rick first. So.
You want to go ahead, Rick?
Sure. Thanks, Councillor Page. Sean, I thanks for this. I didn't see any reference to Nelson Next at all. If we're talking about innovation, especially innovation in this coming decade, it will very likely be around clean tech. It's something that we've really expressed as a top priority for us as a council and as a city. Do you know about Nelson Next? Have you read it? Is there a reason why that's not in your strategic planning for 2021 at all?
So, Rick, thanks for that. As I said, it's not an excuse, but being on the job for 5 months during such a busy time, I haven't had a chance to get up to speed on everything I should have. I am starting to look into all the clean tech sort of initiatives that are going on. And no, I'm not up to speed on Nelson Next. Clean tech is something that we are looking at with a lot of companies that we're dealing with and trying to set up with mentorship and coaching. And it's something I strongly believe in. And it's something that CAST really wants to help facilitate. I just made a note here that I will look into that right away. And yeah, apologies for not having that in my presentation or being fully up to speed on that.
Yeah, I think in all fairness to Sean, Councillor Leuchtenberg, it's a pretty recent document too. So
yes, Kevin here. We're just finalizing the final tweaks. When it went to council, it was still pretty rough. So we haven't published it in the broader public at this stage, but should be quickly, pretty soon.
Excellent. Look forward to learning more about that, because we are starting to see quite a surge in clean tech companies, small and large, that are looking at the Kootenays, doing the soft inquiries and starting that sort of open communication. So good timing.
Thank you. Further questions of Sean?
Yeah, Sean, maybe you could speak a little bit to the grant funding opportunities over the last year. There's been a lot of funding programs specifically targeted at holding together payroll, holding together rent, holding together operations with revenue down. We don't see that in the simplified version of the revenue and expenses you've given us tonight. specifically, but have you guys been able to tap into some of those funding streams, or has there been barriers there? I just would like to understand, that need to pull back to bare minimums. I understand that, but as a business, a lot of places we've been, the federal and provincial governments have been stepping up to kind of help keep everything in place while we get to the other side of the pandemic. And so that's a piece I'm grappling with here. So maybe you could illuminate that a little bit more.
Absolutely, Keith. So what we've done is we've been able to, through other funding of the DER3, the TRP program, fund our staff and keep them active throughout the year and into this year. We are looking at bigger funding for our CAST programs. And one of the things I should have made clear earlier is I'm trying to not quite separate NIC from CAST, but I'm trying to separate in an operational standpoint. So when it comes to the big programs that we hire contractors and sustain our sort of program manager and staffing, that's DR3, that's from Innovate BC. Those are the programs that will hopefully take care of our operations that way. The NIC, I'm trying to keep that separate as a Nelson specific initiative, and any funding we can get to add to the programming there is where we'll get it. And we are looking at wage subsidies and seeing how we can sort of make that work for us. And right now we're actually right in the middle of budget and planning and making sure we're sort of lining everything up and making sure that we're being responsible in what we're going after.
Further questions? Hearing none. Sean, thank you very much for your presentation.
Thanks for having us, everybody. We really appreciate it, and I really appreciate what you guys are doing tonight. It's heartwarming to see. Cheers, everybody.
All right, thank you. Take
Thanks,
care.
Sean.
All right. Nelson Visitor Center is up next. Budget presentation from the Visitor Center. I think, Tom, you're on the hook for this one. Yep, there he is. Okay, we got your presentation up, Tom. You okay there, Tom?
Tom, you're on mute. Can you unmute?
Here we go.
There you go. I thought somebody pulled a plastic bag over your head or something there for a minute or two.
No, I just took it off actually. Everybody's okay. I think Val Yowick is here as well. She's the visitor center manager. So at one point during the course of the presentation, she'll also join us. So thanks everybody for bearing with us at this late hour after 9 o'clock. So when we went through 2020, it was kind of a challenging year. The visitor center, we're here to visit and meet with visitors. And then they came out and they said, I have to explore BC later. And the tourism sector started having a real challenge. We're really decimated by COVID. BC's tourist industry was basically just clinging to some long-term hope, and we're trying to find a way out of it. So a really strange, tumultuous year for the entire tourism industry, and of course our Nelson area as well hit dramatically. Businesses all around the world and communities struggling for the last 10 months just to stay solvent and to keep their community safe. It's really been a delicate balance between safety and bankruptcy for many of those sectors, and our businesses have been struggling, and we've been here to try to help as much as possible. When you look back at the beginning of the year, we started off like any other year. A lot of skiers and winter enthusiasts visited the Southland area. It's never quite as busy in the winter as it is in the summer, but we were going along okay until about March 15th. And there was about 299 centimeters of snow up at Whitewater at that time. It was still looking pretty good. And then, you know what? Things started to change, and it was all because of COVID. And businesses throughout Nelson were forced to close and do the same. Travel abruptly ended. You may all remember exactly what it looked like on the streets of Nelson back around the end of March and the beginning of April. Things were eerily quiet, and things started to change considerably for all of our community, and we started to try to become as resilient as we could. And that's when the visitor services basically
Tom,
became...
could I just want to stop you for a second, Tom? Somebody's not on mute out there, and I think it might be in your office somewhere.
I'm the only person in my office.
Who else is presenting with you?
I am.
Are you on mute? Can you go on mute, please?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay, there you go.
I think Val's going to start taking some of this stuff right now anyway, so I'll go on mute and she can go on.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Val.
Go ahead, Val.
So on March 18th, we closed our visitor center doors to visitors as we were feeling unsafe. We weren't prepared for ourselves or to welcome visitors. And then on the 23rd of March, we closed all our doors because we didn't know what was going to happen with the COVID situation. We then switched from being a visitor services outreach program into a business outreach program. The Chamber of Commerce worked with the City of Nelson and the coordinator, Marla Olson. Together, we worked together phoning and connecting with the business community to determine what problems they've been faced with. And together we were directing businesses to government assistance programs and listening to some of the situations they were faced with. From there, it came to about April. The Chamber, working with the Economic Development Partnership, rolled out an Open for Business Think Local First campaign. The Chamber worked with the city, went around to local businesses handing out posters. The businesses were so appreciative because this is the way they were able to get going again. And the businesses listed in what ways they were open for business. Go ahead, Tom.
So we kept on rolling that throughout the year. We started with the Keep Us Open for Business or Open for Business campaign. And then as we were rolling along, there was still a few concerns that businesses and travelers needed to be a little bit more concerned about how they were starting to join us and how they were, being treated in the stores, et cetera. So we wanted to make sure that all of the stores and all of the businesses that were our heart and soul of our downtown community and throughout our region were looked after. So it was basically shifting to a Keep Us Open for Business campaign. And then later in November, as we started to roll through the summer, and we got through the summer, things were looking pretty good. And then a public health order came out and said, you now must wear masks, and soon there'll be a travel advisory put into play as well. So then we went out with the Wearing is Caring campaign, and those were again very well received by the business community. When you go into a visitor center, you're not expecting to see COVID protocols. You're expecting to see really happy people and welcoming you to a community saying, what can you do? How can we do it? Where can we go? All of those things. But we basically use all of that ability to not just work with visitors, but I think during the last year, it showed that we really had to pivot on a dime and become more of a business outreach center. And we also became a marketing center as we let people know about all of our local businesses, shops and services, local amenities, attractions as well. And we want to try to stimulate people to stay longer and enjoy the benefits of the community and then maximize those economic benefits for the entire community and all of our businesses. Sally, you want to talk a bit about some of the numbers?
Sure. I just wanted to add a little bit more to that last slide, please, Tom. Remarkable experiences. At the visitor center, we were the voice of hiking, beaches, and what there is or isn't open. And that was a common question because things were ever changing. We had to stay current with what businesses or activities were open and could they stay open or what were their terms. So people were wondering what our community offered. And Tom mentioned lengths of stay. People typically were staying 2 to 3 days in Nelson, but we were seeing longer stays, 5 to 7 days, and people wanted to know all things great in Nelson. And so that's what I wanted to share about remarkable experiences. Go ahead, Tom.
So we closed our doors to the public on March 22nd. And there was a few tears in the office when we were going, now what are we going to do? How are we going to figure this out and what's going on? But other businesses were doing exactly the same thing. We basically stayed open we're closed from March 22nd until about June 2nd. We reopened to the public again when they started to allow us to travel. But in the time that we were closed, we were doing the business outreach, as Val talked about earlier. We also were receiving all sorts of telephone calls, email inquiries, text messages, wondering when they could start to come, what's going on in Nelson, is there anything that we can do? So we wound up doing a lot of that even while we were still doing the business outreach. So even though we weren't open to the public, the doors were closed, we continued to look after an awful lot of those concerns as well. And that happens a lot even during fire season. When there's windstorms and power outages and things like that, we get a lot of telephone calls. We have to try to assure people that things are good and it's a good place to come to once the storm's down or once the power's back or once the fires are moving out of our area. Val, our numbers were down considerably. You could just touch briefly on just those numbers there for the last year.
For sure. Being that we were closed for 10 weeks and travel was not recommended, we did not see any Europeans or American visitors. So that impacted our statistics significantly. The stats you're seeing these are visitors that come through our door, just to bring you up to speed what these mean. And people, it was an uncertain time. People weren't sure if they should travel or not. As I had mentioned, there was no international travel. So who we were seeing is people from British Columbia, Alberta, some from other Canada, and then the regional visitors were kind of primarily the ones in the Kootenays coming and just traveling within our region.
Basically, the major problem for us and for all businesses was COVID and COVID protocols that were put into place. So about 70% of business reductions were based on that, and just the fact that there was a lot less tourists. A lot of the folks wound up having reduced revenue for a good portion of the year. There was different times of the year where it was chunked off, where it was really bad. For the spring, pretty well. A lot of the businesses did pretty well during the course of the summer months. And we got into the fall and things were rolling along, stabilizing a little bit. And then we got into the end of November and basically it just shut down. It's probably at its lowest point right now for a lot of visitors, a lot of travelers. So just quickly, we'll talk a little bit about what the City of Nelson has provided in the past. $77,500 is what our operational fee for service was from last year. Our total hours of operation, we were closed from March 22nd until June 1st, so our numbers were down as far as our hours of operation. We continued to work during the course of that time. Our total annual operating expenses are about $170,500. Val, some of the things that we provided, when we're here in 2020, we can't provide all of the same visitor services that we provided, but we did provide a lot of services for artisans, and we tried to help them out as best as possible. Val, you might want to talk a bit about that.
For sure. We opened our door. Well, we actually invited artisans to join us in the summer as the artisans could not be part of the market just because of the rules. Then the artisans later joined the farmers market. I believe it was July and August. We also welcomed artisans to be a part of the chamber during the Christmas season to give them a space to sell their retail goods.
So if we go back and quickly touch on some of the operating income that we have, we got about $168,000 in total operating income. The operating expenses for the year were about $170,000. So there is an excessive expense over income of only $1,571. When you look at that, though, we actually applied for the wage subsidy, and we laid off one staff member for 10 weeks. And the other remaining staff went on to a wage subsidy, and that generated about $40,000 during the course of the year for the chamber, towards the visitor center anyway. And so that was quite helpful. We have annual expenses of 2.5 full-time staff and wages. We did lay off a 0.5 full-time equivalent for 80 days. We've got 3 visitor center counselors in the summertime. There's municipal taxes that we pay on the building, as well as a lot of utilities, building and property maintenance, and some outbound marketing as well. And what we're really looking forward to is getting back to welcoming more visitors and bringing more people back to our community, enjoying the visitor center, and enjoying all of the things that we were doing down here at this, what we call a community hub, a community space. Thursday night socials, craft fairs, community meetings, just a really vibrant community hub. And it's been a catalyst to Railtown development. And of course, we're the home of the Sean Smiley-led Nelson Innovation Center that we spoke about earlier as well. So again, thanks very much to the City of Nelson. The fee-for-service is very helpful to keep our operations going. It supports thousands and thousands of businesses in the community. And those businesses employ thousands of employees and hundreds of businesses probably. But we thank you. We're not asking for any additional funding this year. We are very appreciative of the funding that the city has provided in the past.
Thank you.
Okay, just bear with us for a moment, Tom and Valerie, and we'll get you back. We'll get the rest of the team back here.
Tom, if you can just end the screen share.
I would love to. Welcome to the meeting of the Technical Challenge.
Whatever you do, don't put that Calgary Flames logo up there.
No, I'm getting all sorts of things here. We'll just get rid of that.
I know what jersey I'm wearing to council once we get back into chambers.
There we go. We
Thanks,
got one anyway. Thanks, Tom. There we go. We got everybody here, and we got already got hands up. Just one moment, please, Councillor Morrison. And then, yeah, we're just waiting to get going over here. Are we okay now? Yeah. So, Councillor Morrison, I hope you're up, and it just takes a moment or two for Gabe to get the whole thing sort of operating here. So, away you go.
Thank you. So, thank you for your presentation, Tom and Valerie. Near and dear to my heart, the Visitors Information Center and the work that you guys do down there with the Chamber of Commerce. As an individual citizen, I've been a Chamber of Commerce member for a number of years, and I appreciate what the Chamber does for the local economy. I'm curious, you haven't asked for any increases, and everybody else seems to have come tonight with at least a little bit of an ask. So is there, do you actually not need any money, or if you got a little bit of money, what would you like to see? Thanks.
It's really, I find it really difficult with all of the different presentations and all of the different sectors that have been hammered over the last year for us to come back and say that we'd like to see more funding, even though I believe we provide a service that is tremendous value to all of the business community. The Visitor Center in the past has, we've lost as much as we subsidize, the Chamber of Commerce subsidizes the Visitor Center to the tune of about $35,000 to $38,000 on an annual basis. In 2020, when you look at those numbers and you look at the full budget that we presented as part of the full package, with the government wage subsidy from the federal government, we were able to receive about $40,000. So we anticipate, I've budgeted for the upcoming year, we anticipate getting some funding this upcoming year, but not as much. And we also anticipate being able, from a chamber perspective, being able to host an annual fundraiser in the fall, which we all is near and dear to our hearts. So we're being optimistic that this is going to be a better year. I can't guarantee that. If there was going to be any increase at all, I would assume a cost of living increase would be nice. But we went for years without even a cost of living increase. So we try to live within our means. It's a challenge, but I'm not in a position right now to say I'd like to have another $50,000 or $25,000. I think you've got a lot of asks on your table, and I'm quite comfortable that you guys can make the right decisions and share that wealth if you have wealth.
Thanks, Tom. Any further questions for Tom? Councillor Lochtenberg.
Yeah, just to clarify, Tom and Councillor Morrison, I think the ask, to be clear, is $70,000 to the city.
The ask is, it was $77,000.
Yeah.
So the ask is there, but there's no additional ask. So I'm not asking for any further funding. And I think Janice's question might have been related to, is there anything else that we can top up if you need it?
If I might, so my question was about whether or not they needed some more money, because I think that they did an excellent job of pivoting from what they normally do as business, at least at the Visitors Information Center, in conjunction with working with the Chamber of Commerce. And so hopefully also Chamber memberships stay up this year, because you're also driven by what you get as your membership. And so that's why I was also sort of pitching that individual members who could become members of the Chamber, and just not businesses, because there might be some businesses that can't actually afford to be renewing their agreement with you, their membership. So that was all. I was just trying to figure out, because I mean, you did a great job of running those campaigns and doing the pivot and really going above and beyond in terms of being a Visitors Information Center, and then the work within the Chamber of Commerce itself. So I just didn't want to make it. I just wanted to know if there was some little bit that maybe that we're not guaranteeing anybody their ask. So I mean, it never hurts to ask, I guess.
No, okay, and thank you for that. I think that, so we do a number of different things. We're a Chamber of Commerce that looks after a number of different business sectors. And we also work with the Economic Development Partnership, which looks after a number of those sectors that we've been talking about. So from the Visitor Center perspective, we have a fee-for-service contract with the Chamber of Commerce to operate the Visitor Center. And we try to keep that as a separate entity. So we do know how much it costs to run the Visitor Center. We don't make enough money to run the Visitor Center all the time, but it's usually offset by membership. So the services and the job that we do as a Visitor Center and as a business organization usually can help bring in enough revenue to help offset the cost of this beautiful building. And at some point, if the Chamber of Commerce wasn't involved as in a fee-for-service contract with the city to run a visitor center, we could probably lease this space out for $40,000 or $50,000 a year and have somebody else operate the visitor center. That's not what we want to do. We think that we can be fiscally responsible and run it properly and provide a tremendous service to the community without having to ask for any additional money. Now, that being said, I'm going to be joining Andrea here in a few minutes, and we'll be speaking about the Economic Development Partnership and some of the other initiatives that we'll be working on.
Further questions for Tom? Tom, I just had one question and one comment. I noticed you had $14,000 in there for postcards and maps. Who the heck buys postcards and maps anymore?
It's how, and Val could probably answer that question better. She looks after the day-to-day operations of the visitor center, and it's just how it's put into that line item. But Val, if you want to provide a bit more clarity to the mayor.
Mayor Dooley, it's just the category that kind of lumps in maps, shirts, gifts. It's as Tom said, a line item.
Okay, that's
but people do buy maps and postcards.
I should probably buy one myself. It would save the odd scrap when I'm driving around in the days, but with my wife and I getting into the odd tilt over, we're on the wrong road here. The other thing I wanted to mention, Tom, was I have to say that all the years that I've been involved here at City Hall with the Chamber, myself as a member, but through local government, the Chamber did an outstanding job of outreach through COVID. It was unbelievable how you stepped up to support the community as a whole, not just the business community, but as a whole. I mean, encouraging people to shop local, the stay open campaigns you had, wear a mask campaign. Tom, it was outstanding, and I want you to make sure you pass that on to your board, and we really appreciate what you did in conjunction with, of course, working with Kevin and Sebastian here at City Hall as well. So thank you for the good work that yourself and Val and the rest of your staff did down there at the Chamber to once again become a real beacon of hope in our community through this tough time.
Well, there was a few sleepless nights. There's no question about that. And there was I think, Val, there was even, you mentioned today, there was even a few tears when we were talking about what we're going to do at the visitor center. When we closed the doors, and nobody knew what the hell was going to happen. And it was scary. And there was a lot of people in this business community that felt exactly the same way. They'd never laid anybody off before. They'd never had to close their doors. They were forced to, and they were really resilient. And we had to just be part of that resilience for the community. And I think that I feel I was part of a great team, and there's a lot of people that were working with me, and economic development partners and City of Nelson and lots of other folks that were, hats off to them as well. So thanks for those accolades, but there was a lot of people involved.
Yeah, pass that on to the board and your board of directors, and thanks to Councillor Renwick and Councillor Page for making sure that we're at your meetings and staying in touch with you. So yeah, it was a team effort for sure, but it definitely took some inspiration and leadership from a number of people. So, Councillor Woodward.
Yeah, I just want to be quick. I just wanted to say I think it's so vital in our town that we have these anchor organizations like the Chamber. I think it gave people, at least that I've talked to, it gave people that sense of like that there was a floor, because it probably felt like it was falling out from underneath people. But that people like the Chamber and Tom and other organizations really gave that sense that we're going to be okay. There's a bottom to this, and we'll make it through. And so I want to thank you for offering that kind of support and foundational work, Tom, and Valerie and all your team.
Thank you.
It was a great team effort for sure. And I had a 6-month contract almost 14 years ago. So I think they've either forgotten that I'm still here, or they think I might be doing a reasonably good job.
And I think it's one of the best hiring things I ever did.
Well, yeah, I didn't want to bring that up.
Commerce.
P.S.
We hired Tom.
You were the only candidate, Tom.
Yeah, that's right. There weren't too many people lining up for this one, I'll tell you.
All right, thanks very much, Tom. So now I know why you were on radio all those years. So, okay, up next is the Nelson Area Economic Development Partnership, another cornerstone of our community, and we have. Who do we have on tonight for the?
Andrea
I see Andrea, and I've seen Sydney's name up there still. We're just going to switch over here now. So, Andrea, are you there?
Good news is Andrea is way more technically savvy than I am.
Okay, you're sticking around, Tom, are you?
Yeah, well, we're all part of this. We're the partnership.
Okay.
Could you see my screen there a second ago?
We did, yes.
Yeah.
But it's
Okay.
It's gone now, Andrea. So
I couldn't unmute myself and have the screen up at the same time, so I'll figure it out. I'll pull it up, and Tom, you can get started.
That took me a while.
we've got the resemblance of it up there now.
Can you see the presentation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if they can hear me or not.
So Andrea, we do have the presentation and we can hear you.
Okay, Tom, do you want to start us off?
So you're going to have to control the presentation from your screen, Andrea. You got that right? Okay. We provided you with a number of pages of background information. There's also about a 35-page slide presentation that we provided. We're not going to go through that tonight. We know that that's not the case. We hope that you've all gone through that diligently and looked at all of the presentations like you normally would, because we're only going to go through like a Reader's Digest version of this presentation. There's 8 or 10 slides, and then we'll open it up to questions. So Andrea, you can click off to the next screen. So the Economic Development Partnership, of course, has been around for almost 15 years. It's the Chamber of Commerce, Community Futures. The City of Nelson is a core partner, and also Area E&F. And when we do planning, we get together as a group. So it's a broad group. It's not just Tom and Andrea sitting together and trying to come up with a game plan. So we had about 24 people participating in the economic recovery planning that we did in the fall. And we wanted to make sure that we were focused on what's happening because of COVID, how do we pivot, and how do we become most effective for the business community. So we had 24 people, a lot of businesses, different arts organizations, Nelson Kootenay Lake Tourism, workforce from Kootenay Career Development, etc. So big, broad cross-section of the community coming up with the strategic plan that we're going to talk about. So out of that, some of the recovery priorities, we identified business retention and expansion. We want to make sure we make as many businesses stay solvent as possible, and if possible, some sectors even expanding. Then workforce housing is always a concern, and we wanted to make sure that workforce housing was on our economic recovery priorities. Sector supports, things like the arts sector, retail, food and beverage, sectors that really were having a tough time. We wanted to make sure that there was adequate supports for those sectors, and then also increase our communications. One of the things that we've had a tough time doing over the years has been, well, the Chamber is doing something, or Community Futures is doing something, or the city is doing something. But when we work as the Economic Development Partnership, we clearly are a partnership. We're working together and collaborating. And that's why we want to just make sure that the communications is beefed up a little bit. So we've allocated some more funding towards that. And then advocacy areas include economic recovery supports, advocating to, from the Chamber perspective, all different senior levels of government for different types of business supports as possible. Transportation is always an issue, poverty reduction, and then broadband access. So we've got consumer and workforce safety, think local first business supports in there as far as business retention goes. Workforce supports, we're going to talk a bit more about that. Technology adoption, we'll talk about that. And investment and workforce attraction through Imagine Kootenay, that's all part of the bigger presentation as well. But some of the economic recovery project budget projects, we want to highlight local businesses and consumers doing business safely in the upcoming year. Aggressively market online shopping and shop local sites that we've been developing that Andrea is going to really touch more on coming up in just a slide or two. Shop local community challenge, maybe some kind of a dine out promotion, drive local business uptake of workforce and technology adoption supports through some of the programs we've been offering, and Cass has been working with us, and Selkirk College and the Basin Business Advisors as well. So a lot of things on the plans, and Andrea's going to talk a bit more about some of them. Well, I'm going to talk a bit more about some of these just before I get to that. Workforce supports, workforce safety. We wanted to make sure that all of the businesses, when we found out what they had to do, WorkSafe came down with the plan. We worked together with our economic development partners and Nelson Kootenay Lake Tours, and we came up with the We Follow recommended COVID-19 protocols stickers. We got those out to businesses. And then be smart, be kind, be COVID smart. If you're traveling to the area, make sure you respect our protocols. So those were a couple of the initiatives that we had for consumers. And then we also talked a little bit about Think Local First marketing campaigns. This one was a good one. I think that we support local and stay safe. So these ones, we focused on local business. We also looked at, arts community like the Capitol Theater, kids sport. How does a strong business community support those sectors? And those are things that are really key. So it was messaging from those communities, from those businesses and or nonprofits, talking about how a strong business community is going to benefit them. And I think we were really, really effective with that. And businesses were really being supported by local people. And then, of course, we talked a lot about the campaign already, but this was an initiative that the Chamber helped on with boots on the ground. But we worked on this collaboratively as the Economic Development Partnership. And as you mentioned earlier, very, very effective.
Thanks, Tom. I'll jump in here if that's okay. So I'm going to touch on a business retention and expansion priority that was focused on during COVID response, and it continues to be a priority for the upcoming year. And that's to help the ability for our locals to be able to shop local online. So one of the things we did was we wanted to leverage the Small Business BC Marketplace, which was an online directory of businesses. So we promoted this to our business community. We had a webinar promoting to businesses where they could list themselves online, and also the supports available to get them online, whether that was through CAST or Selkirk College or the Basin Business Advisors program. So between the beginning and end of December, we saw a 464% increase in the number of businesses listed on this site from Nelson. We're currently sitting at 79 businesses, but we've just, through the work of Tom and Diana Dukes, we just handed them a list of another 233 businesses from Nelson and area to list on this marketplace. So, we're building the groundwork for having a robust online marketplace of Nelson and area businesses. So in terms of our plans for the upcoming year, our goal is through our core NAEDP budget is to continue to add content to these websites in terms of local business listings. And if we had some extra money through economic recovery dollars, our plan would be to aggressively drive consumer traffic to these marketplaces and ultimately drive purchases. The other online platform I want to highlight is the Shop Local BC website that was sponsored by the Nelson and District Credit Union, so another great partner. So this is an online gift certificate platform, which is a great way to be able to support local businesses through gifts. And again, at the beginning of November, we had about 22 businesses from Nelson and area listed on here. By the end, we had 32, so we saw a 45% increase. And we hope to continue to see those numbers go up. And another online platform that we want to highlight is owned by the fellows from Fisherman's Market, so Jeff Austin. So it's a privately owned business, and it's an e-commerce platform that provides vendors with a place to market their food products and also tools to sell their products. So again, this is something that we, as the NAEDP partnership, got behind and helped encourage vendors to sign up for. And over the month of December, they saw a 20% increase in vendors on the site. So they're sitting around 100 Central Kootenay businesses. And actually, I believe just launched in November. So that gives you a sense of where we were able to get some traction in COVID response, and where we'd like to focus our efforts in the upcoming years, or the upcoming year is just getting more businesses listed on these platforms and then get consumers shopping on them. I'm going to go into sector support. So as Tom mentioned, During strategic planning, we looked at what sectors really need support from the NAEDP in the upcoming year. Who's been hardest hit by COVID, who's got capacity to react. And it was from the input of the 24 people at strategic planning that we identified these 3 sectors that we want to focus on. So the first being retention of the food and beverage sector, which we know has been hard hit, and the Chamber's been doing great work in terms of outreach and supporting. For the first time ever, arts and culture was identified as a key sector that the Economic Partnership wants to support, in that we know they've been hard hit by the pandemic. And we also know what a loss it would be if we were to lose some of our arts and culture assets, as well as our entrepreneurs. So we want to support that sector to survive COVID and to recover. And we also felt that they were a sector that could benefit from some incremental support. Tourism's got lots of capacity. Another sector we talked about was cannabis. We've got lots of funding to support that sector. So that's how we identified the food and beverage and the arts and culture sectors. We also want to continue to support the growth of the technology sector. For the most part, we've been able to hand a lot of that off to our friends at CAST, but we want to continue to play a supporting role there. So in terms of initiatives that we see for supporting these sectors, part of the core work that the Chamber does is supporting the food and beverage sector. Part of the core budget in the NAEDP plan is to allocate a bit of money to support arts and culture. And really the idea there was to provide a bit of seed funding for them to apply for other grants. If our economic recovery budget ask is successful, some of the areas we see focusing those dollars on are one, around the restaurant sector. So we'd want to further engage with them to determine what that promotion would look like. And also, of course, we're going to need to see what happens with COVID. But some type of a dine-out campaign or a takeout campaign to basically drive revenue for a restaurant in our community. In terms of the arts and culture sector, we engaged them through the Cultural Development Commission and said, where can we help you best? And what they highlighted was the need for more data, for them to understand the impacts of COVID on their sector, the actual value of their sector pre-COVID, and then recommendations on recovery. So we do have a quote scoped by Selkirk College to do a robust arts and culture study touching on the areas I've mentioned here. The quote includes one-on-one engagement, survey engagement, as well as looking at some secondary research and coming back with recommendations for that sector. And that's really going to help them identify where best to focus their efforts moving forward. And it's also going to help them leverage other funding opportunities. So to wrap things up, the ask that we're bringing forward, and there's a more detailed budget in the package that was provided, but we're asking that core NAEDP budget funding be restored to the 2017 level, which was $100,000. That was the contribution from the City of Nelson from 2007 to 2017, at which point it was reduced to $80,000 to put, I think the city reallocated some of those dollars to put towards Nelson fiber initiatives. So we're asking that be restored. And just as a reminder, our other partners, the RDCK areas E and F, they each contribute $20,000 annually, which brings our total budget, core budget, up to $140,000. This year, we'd really like to be able to support the City of Nelson in moving the needle on economic recovery. So we are asking for an incremental contribution from the pandemic recovery grant that the city received of $2.6 million. We're asking for an additional $1,000 for the upcoming year to do some of the extra work we've talked about around economic recovery, which would represent 3.8% of the allocation of that grant. So I'll leave it there. Tom and I are happy to answer any questions, and just want to flag we're really appreciative of this partnership. It's been in place since 2005, and I think during the year, this past year, we've really seen the value of that partnership, the ability to just pick up the phone and pull together and work together to roll things out really quickly for our community. It's definitely an outcome of all the great work that these organizations have done together over the past 15 years. So thank you, and I'll stop sharing my screen here.
Thanks, Andrea. Just hold on for a moment or two and we'll get everybody back on track here. Oh, we're almost there. We're all set? Okay, everybody still with us? Oh, Janice. Janice has her hand up right off the bat. Then Councillor Page, Councillor Morrison, Councillor Page.
I have to say, I feel like John Murray, who used to wake up about this time when I'd be saying, please, could we adjourn the meeting so I could go home and get some sleep and go to work? I have a question about the budget, just in terms of, just looking at your budget on the last page of the large document that you gave us that wasn't on one of your slides, Andrea. You said that the RDCK gives $40,000. I see the sum here is $37,500. It's not to quibble over a few thousand, but a few thousand's a few thousand. So it would be great if it was maybe 40, maybe if it was 50. But my bigger question really is I don't understand, and it's just probably because I must have missed something, but could you tell me what is meant or captured in when you talk about use of funds, and you've got in your core budget that you have a $5,000 administrative fee, but if we were to give you another $100,000 of economic recovery budget, you have an administrative fee of $15,000. What is administrative fees used for, or why they're captured, or how are they captured?
Yeah, happy to answer that, and thanks for that question, Councillor Morrison. To go back to your first comment just about the revenue from the RDCK, they do contribute $20,000 each. A portion of their contribution goes towards the Imagine Kootenay partnership, and the City of Nelson's contribution to the Imagine Kootenay partnership is a separate line item. So good catch there, but that's what's going on there. In terms of the administration fee, should I keep going?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So the administration fee, so that does go to Community Futures, and that does go towards basically overhead for project management. So that goes towards our finance manager's time, bookkeeper's time, my time, and that's for things like, flowing through invoices, writing grant applications, writing reports on grant applications, many times. And so I think actually when the partnership was first set up in 2005, and I'm going to guess here a little bit, I think that's when the $5,000 admin fee was put in place. We're now in 2020, and I'm actually just coming from another board meeting where we're talking about balancing our operating budget and the need to increase our admin fee. When I started with Community Futures in 2013, our admin fee was 10%. In recent years, we've moved it to 12 or 15, and I've actually just done a bit of market research and found that other organizations are actually charging closer to 20% as an admin fee. So I could go on forever, but I won't. So to stop there, the 15,000 admin fee, that's based on 15% of 100,000, and that's our current admin fee that we're charging.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Morrison.
So I guess my question then is that you're charging 15% as your admin fee, but you've only got your administrative fee for the 2021 budget as $5,000.
Yep. So that hasn't changed in all the years.
Okay.
That gets adjusted.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Further questions?
Yeah.
Councillor Page?
Andrea, just having gone over the presentations from all the participants today, I was wondering if maybe for those who haven't heard it before, we could talk a little bit about how the NAEVP identified and did the feasibility for the NIC, the Nelson Innovation Center. I think one of the things I've seen at this table is this table's really good at identifying strategic priorities and carrying them over the long term. And then maybe you could speak to some of the proposals for the arts and culture sector going forward. I think, don't want to put you on the spot, but.
Sure. So Keith, if I understand your question, it's just to give an example of past successes of the NAEDP. The Nelson Innovation Center, I think, is a great example of a project that the NAEDP identified when the City of Nelson brought in broadband. The discussion at the NAEDP table was, okay, so, what's the economic opportunity with this new infrastructure? And so the NAEDP identified this is a great opportunity to build our technology sector. And so we brought together a grassroots group of people that were super enthusiastic, and they identified the goal of creating a Nelson Innovation Center. And so it was from there that, the NAEDP was able to pull in the support of partner organizations like CAST. And as an organization, we were able to secure funding to do that first feasibility study. That was a $10,000 grant from the Rural Dividend Fund. We actually secured 3 subsequent rounds of $100,000 funding from the Rural Dividend Fund. And it's as a result of steps over, I think we started in 2014, that we are where we're at today in 2020 with the Nelson Innovation Center open. And it was actually really nice to see that, that project has moved on to CAST's presentation. They're now the operating entity for the NIC, and it's allowed the NAEDP to completely step away and focus our efforts on other projects. In terms of arts and culture, really the one proposal we have in front of us is the study from Selkirk College. I will add another comment from listening in on the presentations earlier. The other thing we've heard from the arts and culture sector that I see as a future project that we could be working on with them is looking for opportunities to bring the business community and the arts and culture sector together. So the most dramatic version of that I would provide as an example is, the Traction on Demand Capitol Theatre. I'm not saying that's where we should go, but looking at things like sponsorships and encouraging small businesses to buy season tickets and looking at how we can help those sectors support each other. So that's another opportunity I see for the NAEDP to help with the arts and culture sector.
Thank you, Andrea. We have 2 more hands up now. Councillor Woodward and then Councillor Luchtenberg.
Thank you, Andrea and Tom. I'm wondering about if the sort of metric has been done. Can our local communities support the arts and businesses in a way that is healthy and vibrant? Or how dependent are we on tourism money coming from outside? I just wondering if that kind of metric has been done, because in the long term it would be great to have our community supporting our community, and then whatever we get from the outside is icing on the cake. But it concerns me that we're really built pretty heavily on money from outside, and we're now feeling that reverberation from COVID. But I just want your comment on that.
I'd like quick comment, Councillor Woodward. I think that if you talk to local businesses, they'll tell you that they have to have the local community or the regional community support them. Without that, they wouldn't be in business. That keeps them basically going from day to day and week to week and month to month. What provides them a bit of a cushion and maybe makes them a profit is outside visitors. But I think we have to look at our area as a region. Castlegar, Trail, Nelson, Caslow, Blewett, all of those places coming to our community. We're a commerce center. People come to Nelson to do business. We need to have that ability to bring that region together and come to our community. And we all work together. And I think anybody coming in from the outside, we had a good summer without any Americans. We had a good summer without any international travelers. We can look after this community as a community hub, it's a strong community, and we support it. You talk to some of the small business people downtown, and this year especially, they said, we're coming here to help you and support you because we know that it's really, really important. we're one of, I shouldn't say we're one of the only communities, because there's probably a lot of other ones that are similar to us. We're one of the ones that are the most resilient, I think. And we're also, we're in a situation where we haven't had any businesses really close. There's a lot of places that have closed up, a lot of shops. There's not to say that the concerns are over. There's going to be places in Vancouver, there's going to be places in Toronto and some of the major urban centers that could lose 30 to 40% of their small retail and small tourism businesses. We haven't been impacted that way, and we're fortunate. And I think it's because we're a strong region and we continue to work as a region.
Thank you, Tom. That's great. From what I've heard too, I feel like the community did step up and are actually going out of their way to support local, which is just awesome. So thank you very much.
Councillor Lockenberg.
Thanks, Tom and Andrea. And I'm reflecting on your strategic priorities for 2021. And I know I'm not on the NAEDP anymore, so I didn't have any chance to influence these. But I am noticing that there's nothing related to, to climate change and the work that we had set as a priority in the past. And I want to flag that for you and for everybody presenting, that as a part of our decision matrix going forward, we're going to have to make it as a deal breaker. If it's not a priority, just look at Nelson Next when it comes out, or get an advanced copy. What it's asking the city, not just the city, the corporation of the city, but the entire city, and particularly, and probably most importantly, the business community. What it's going to be asking us to do in this next decade is dramatic. It suggests that if it's not your, top focus, in some cases your dominating focus, then you're missing both the responsibility and but maybe more importantly, the opportunity that it suggests. I think given what we've seen with COVID and the rapid response that the province and the feds have taken, I think we're going to see something similar. We're already starting to see something similar as we sort of start to pivot or broaden our focus to climate change. And I think an early indication of that would be looking at what's happening in the US, that over and over again, this new cabinet that's been sworn in under Biden are saying their top priority is climate action, so the economic spillover effect that we're going to see from the largest economy in the world making climate change its top priority, from infrastructure spending, from clean tech investments. If we're not jumping into that space 100%, I think we're missing a huge dominating opportunity. So I just want to flag that for you.
I think just quickly, without getting into too much philosophical detail, this is a COVID budget and the COVID presentation for 1 year, and I think we're trying to focus on 2021 and how we get through 2021. That's not to say that climate isn't a concern. Economics is the number one concern, and keeping businesses open right now is the number one concern from my perspective. But we truly do respect your point of view, Rick, in making sure that climate is certainly a concern. But this is a 2021 focus, and it's not a platform for the next 4 years.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Rick. On that note, just to be fair to Andrea and Tom, the Nelson Next is still in draft and hasn't been released to the public, so it's fair that you're not on top of that at this point in time. But I know that you'll pivot to read that and react to it as you go forward. So that's always been your motto anyway. So, Councillor Renwick.
Thank you, Mayor. Maybe I'll have the last word here. Tom, Andrea, thank you for the great presentations. I think everything's been said that needs to be said about what happened in 2020 and the great work that the NAEDP, the chamber with the city, with Diana and Kootenay Tourism did. It was I know very well appreciated by the business community. What I'm going to propose is I've been watching these presentations because of my involvement at the Chamber for many, many years. And I think it's grossly unfair that Tom and Andrea are always at the end of the schedule, late at night, and never at the start of the schedule. So I'm proposing that maybe we can rotate that around to make it fair for everybody. That's just my 2 cents worth tonight.
That's really kind of you, Councillor Renwick. I have to confess, I had a board meeting tonight, so we requested the late time slot. But super happy to go earlier next year.
You're not supposed to say that, Andrea.
You know, maybe she's just super clever and they're just waiting to see what everyone says and then they land it.
Well, the good news is behind here is a Murphy bed, and I just pull that down and I can go right to sleep in no time. Be ready for work tomorrow morning at 8 a.m.
Thanks very much, Tom. And Andrea, I'd just say the same to you. Thanks very much for your good work and the way you were able to pivot with working with Tom and the rest of the groups around keeping our community moving forward. It was actually really gratifying to see how people sort of jumped on board and thought we're not shutting off the lights here quite yet. We're gonna dig in and make this work. Andrea, I don't want to drag this out forever, but I want to thank you for taking the time to organize that opportunity for me to speak with some of your people around the immigrant settlement program. And that's something that I know you've been working hard on. And maybe in the future, Andrea, it might be worth having you come to a committee of the whole and maybe make that presentation. I thought it was very valuable to me, and I'm sure it'll be valuable for the community to see as well, because I'm not sure that everybody's aware that it's available to them. So, that's about it. Thanks very much for all your good work.
Thank you for that. And yeah, I would love to come talk about the immigration pilot, so I'll follow up on that.
Thank you.
Thank you all. And at our last chamber meeting, Callie, I said, oh, I think it's not starting until 9 o'clock for our presentation. No, it'll be well done by 9 o'clock.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well,
so he lied again.
Much appreciated.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you. Everybody, a motion to adjourn, please. Councillor Woodward, boy, those hands went up fast. And Councillor Renwick, all in favor? Thanks very much, everybody. Take care. It's a long night. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Everybody.